very special guest here with me today. Um, a good friend of mine. I've been friends for a very long time. I haven't spoken to him in about a year, according to him. It was the time we saw each other last. But my friend Carlos. How you doing, Carlos?
Doing great, Dylan. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for coming by. So Carlos he's a very fascinating individual. We've been close friends for
Since middle school.
middle school.
So we were
Yeah,
about
middle school.
13, let's say, 12, 13. So it's been 18 years. That's
Jeez,
crazy.
I know, right? 18 years. Like that's
Wow.
that's so long. But yeah, so we've been really good friends. So I'm happy to have you on the show. This is the first interview I've done, and it's not really an interview. It's gonna be like a conversation. All right, we're just hanging out.
Wait, this is your first interview?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, usually it's just me and Matt talking,
gotcha.
and I like to think of it as an interview with we're interviewing each other.
Yeah, of course. I
But-
just had figured maybe you had interviewed Cameron or someone else.
Oh,
by
well,
now.
we did Ray. He was a
Okay.
guest star. He wasn't really interviewed. I do want to do like actual interviews though.
Cool.
With like friends,
Mm.
But it's a work in progress. We're just starting. We're getting into it. So you're the first.
Awesome.
Give me the first
It's
interview.
an honor.
But you've also done some interesting things. Like for instance, you just came back from India.
Yes.
So where were you exactly?
So I was in South India, about an hour west of a city called Coimbatore.
Okay.
That's in the state of Tamil Nadu.
Okay. And is there a difference between like the north and south?
Yes.
It's a big
That's a great question.
country.
So yeah, so typically here as an American, what I think of like our mindset when it comes to India, like we think of Indians as just like they're all kind of the same,
Yeah. Yes.
but it's a big place and they actually have a lot of regional identities, and
Interesting.
I think they really hold their regional identity as probably as important, maybe even more important than their national identity. So before they
Wow.
think of themselves as an India, they might think of themselves as I'm a Punjabi or
Right.
whatever. There's lots of different groups.
Okay.
Regional identities. So like I said, I was in the state of Tamil Nadu. So they're like they speak Tamil
Okay.
and they're southern Indian people.
Okay. What differentiates them from what? Like
There's some physical characteristics, but like maybe they might be a little bit darker skin tone.
Okay.
Generally,
That makes
maybe generally a little bit shorter. I really am not too sure, but like they all have different like cultures. I mean, all the cultures are, as an outsider looking in, it looks pretty similar at least across cultures, but
Sure.
for them it might seem like a lot more.
Right. Because for you, it's probably completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So the languages that they speak in different states are different. So in Tamil Nadu they speak Tamil.
Well, that's.
In Kerala they speak Malayalam.
Did you learn any of the language?
I learned a couple words.
Like what?
So one word that we use a lot. So maybe to back it up a little bit, just to say why I was in India.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Why were you in India?
So why was I in India? That's a great question, Dylan. So I was there to participate in a program called Sadhanapada.
Okay.
So this program is run by a foundation called Isha Foundation,
Mhm.
and this foundation is run by this man who, it's not his name. It's more of a title. Goes by Sadhguru.
Okay.
So I found this guy on YouTube basically like about 5 years ago now already, and I started. I found him on YouTube. He was like, he had a lot of videos on lots of different topics, and it was just making lots of sense to me what he was saying.
Yeah.
He's talking on a variety of different things, and he sort of advertises yoga as a practice
Right.
for overall well-being. That's the main thing, but it's more than just that. It's like a spiritual practice, broadly speaking. So yeah, I got really involved with that over time. Started doing more programs, more practices, and started practicing yoga. And then, this Sadhanapada program is kind of new. It started in 2018. So I'm actually the fourth batch to go through this program.
And this program just goes to India? Because I know you've been in Tennessee.
Yeah, so they did hold it in Tennessee maybe once or twice before, but then COVID happened, and then, they didn't hold it that year, 2020, and then they didn't hold it last year either.
Right.
But maybe next year they'll hold it again. But yeah, mainly their main center is in Tennessee, but they also have their main center is in India, but they have like a secondary place here in the United States,
Okay.
in Tennessee. But yeah, main spot is in India where they hold the program, and
So
their main center of activities in India.
what? Because I know a little bit about this stuff, because you told me before. But what kind of drew you to like Sadhguru, and doing what made you want to like even get interested in this, even going there and volunteering and doing stuff? What drew you to this?
So it's a combination of things.
Okay.
One thing is I could say since I was a young kid, since I was a lad, I could say I was just like generally curious about the world, how things work.
Good.
Why are things the way they are? How do things work? Pretty basic, simple questions. And then like as I got more into like, my dad has a science background, so he, kind of him talking about this stuff and just kind of teaching me things. It piqued my interest. And when I was in high school, I started getting really into like physics and stuff. I was like super interested. I was like, oh man, these guys, like they know, or at least they're trying to like find out, what this is all about. What is this life thing? What is nature?
Yeah. Answer the questions that we don't know, really.
Yeah. So it's from that perspective that, I kind of grew up in as like in high school and then into college. I was still kind of interested in, but other things started happening in college where I started kind of just really questioning, like almost like on a deeper level, like what the hell? Because okay, in college it was kind of like a difficult time. It's like a transition between high school and going into adulthood and whatever, and just started to like I only went to college because I was supposed to. You know what I mean?
So you wouldn't have gone to college if you.
Maybe I would have, but
So
it's not like I was thinking critically at that time. Like,
right.
I'm 18 years old. Have to think about my future. I should plan my life like this, etc.
Right.
So I should go to college. No, it was just like, I'm expected to go to college. My friends are going to college.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't any thought. I just applied and I went, whatever. But then it's like, all of a sudden I had this independence and I started experimenting with weed. And,
Hell yeah.
And, other psychedelics,
Sure.
stuff like that. And it kind of just brought me to a place in my mind where like I really didn't know what the hell was I even doing, what was even happening. Everything was just super confusing. I kind of like, in high school I was a pretty good student, but then college came and it's like I really just kind of stopped caring. Like I was only in that program because like I chose medicine basically just because I wanted to make a lot of money.
Right.
So it was like,
that's
it wasn't like a good reason for doing that. And so I really didn't have any direction in my life. So at this point in my life, I'm just kind of questioning a lot of things. And with this weed, I was smoking a lot. And I was just experiencing things that I hadn't experienced before and just kind of seeing things from a different perspective. So, there's a whole lot more to go into that, but I just want to, give that background, just like where my mind is. So, I went on experimenting with, weed and other things, in my early 20s. And, I went through periods of like depression, anxiety. I was on some pretty high highs also as well. So I had, it was like a roller coaster emotionally, mentally, in, all these different ways. And, in 2015, I tried acid for the first time. And is this okay to talk about it on the podcast?
Yeah, dude, it's fine.
Okay. Because it's kind of a big, I wouldn't bring it up unless it was like,
Well, you're bringing it. You want to talk about it.
It's important.
I think it's important.
And when I did that, it just like, it was like I woke up. It was like I woke up for the first time in my life. It was a very, very profound experience. I think the preconception people have sometimes is like, oh, you're tripping on whatever and you're just like loopy. It's like you're maybe hallucinating or making up stuff that's not there. But at least in my experience, it felt like the opposite. It was like I realized what was real and what I had just been like making up in my mind the whole time. Like I felt like I saw reality for real for the first time.
Right.
So it was a very profound experience and lots of other things happened. And, I went through, again, like a roller coaster, mentally, emotionally, all these things happened. And then like a couple of years later, I found Sadhguru on YouTube. And then all the things that he was saying really, really resonated with me. Going back to like my experiences with with marijuana, and psychedelics, and just in general, just living, just like the way that I had been experiencing life up until that moment. What he was saying like really, really resonated with me. I was like, wow, this guy makes sense. I don't know who this guy is,
Yeah.
but like he knows something. He understands something. He has something that like I want to know what this guy knows. I want to know more about what this guy is offering.
Yeah.
Whatever, that kind of thing.
So
Yeah, and then he's like basically saying like yoga. He explaining what yoga is, and the way that he explains it is it's just a tool. It's a tool for your well-being. So yoga is a practice that involves like there's lots of different types of yoga practices. Typically in the West, when we think of yoga, we think of like hatha yoga, so bending and whatever, twisting, like all these different postures. Asanas is what they're called. And so that's one aspect of it. There's another aspect of it called like there's Kriya Yoga. So it's like certain breathing patterns. There's a whole practice involved. It's very elaborate. So you have to go through these programs to learn the practice, and then after you take the program, you can just do these practices daily.
Right.
That's how it works. So yeah, this was back in 2017. So late 2017, I finally got a job, which means I finally had money, which means I could finally like do things that I wanted just on my own, without
Right.
having to ask my parents for money or permission to do
But
things.
then you got a job, but then you later quit your job.
Yes.
Just
So 2017, I was like living in Dallas at the time. This was my first job. I was working in Dallas as a software engineer.
I forgot you even went to Dallas, to be honest.
Yeah, I was actually there for like a year and almost a half.
I completely forgot.
It's the same thing. I forget that you lived in Indy.
Yeah, I lived there for about 2 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, geez, man. Okay, so you're in Dallas.
Yeah, when I was there in Dallas, one weekend I realized, I could just, this is like from their centers in Tennessee. This is where they offer most of their programs. They have local centers where they teach and stuff, whatever.
Right.
But on this weekend, I was just like, I can just drive there if I want to. I could just go there this weekend. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So I looked
free.
online. I saw, okay, they're offering a program called Surya Kriya, which is similar to Surya Namaskar, if anybody has come across that. It's a pretty common yoga practice. But Surya Kriya is similar to that.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, they're offering Surya Kriya this weekend. So I enrolled, got my car, and I drove. I don't remember how long it was. Must have been
12.
maybe like 12 hours.
12 hours, yeah. Because you
Yeah.
said Tennessee, right?
Yeah, it's like the southeast Tennessee
Yeah.
to Dallas. So it's pretty far. You have to cross a lot of states to get there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I just drove. I got there, and that was my first experience of Isha.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a small program. So sometimes the programs are super small. Sometimes they're really big. It just depends on that specific program at that specific time and place and whatever. So that program for me, my first program, it was only four of us. So it was one teacher, and with that teacher actually ended up becoming a monk. I found out.
A monk?
A monk. Yeah.
What
So we have monks
Okay.
at the center in India. They're called brahmacharis.
Okay. What the monk, and if I envision a monk, I feel like this is a guy and like who's bald,
They are bald.
and they are bald.
They are bald.
Why?
So you should listen to Sadhguru talk on a lot of these things that maybe I bring up because you should hear from him. But essentially, he says if you shave your head during a specific time in the lunar calendar, so it's Shivratri. I think it's 1 or 2 days before the new moon. He says it's beneficial for you spiritually if you shave your head because there's a natural upsurge in energy. And, he describes a lot of this in analogies. So in the same way, you think about the way that the moon moves around the earth and the way it affects the tides. That's a pretty strong force. If you think like it's a giant rock, right? That's like orbiting our planet, and its gravitational pull is strong enough to pull an ocean.
Right.
Our bodies, if you look at the composition of our bodies, it's about 2/3 water.
Yeah.
It would make sense that something is happening, depending on this lunar cycle. Some upsurge, something is happening in our body. It's possible.
I can see that. Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what he says. And with a lot of the things that maybe I'm about to talk about with Sadhguru and Isha and all this yoga stuff, it's just I may not have a personal experience of some of this stuff, but it's just I'm open to the possibility of it being possibly true. So,
Right.
So I might say that throughout this podcast, like, oh, Sadhguru says this, Sadhguru says that, to distinguish just the fact that I don't really have an experience of this, but this is what this guy says, and it could be true. It's
Yeah,
possible.
it's their thoughts and
And
bleeds.
the one reason, so if I go back to my first program. So I did my first program Surya Kriya that year. And right after that, I was like, I just started doing more and more programs. And their main program is called Inner Engineering. That's like
Okay.
their flagship program. That's like the program everybody takes. Once you take that, then you're officially an Isha.
So it's like the entry level.
It's like entry level, but you learn to practice at the end. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
an orientation into everything Isha, everything Sadhguru.
Yeah.
So he kind of explains to you a few things, and he gives you this crash course, because the idea behind inner engineering is the whole point of yoga. As I said, it's a tool, right? And the purpose of this tool is to engineer your interiority.
Okay.
That's why the program's called inner engineering. So he gives you a couple of tools of a few reminders you can use throughout the day to sort of put yourself in a certain mindset, and
So what do you
You
what
learn
do
to practice
mean,
at the end.
What do you mean exactly this this tool to would you say your interiors or something?
so yeah, inner engineering. So
Engineering. So what is why would you want to do that?
so if you look at human behavior, just in
Okay.
general, right? Like we're humans, right? We behave. That's what we do. We do things in the world.
We behave.
We
yeah.
behave. We do things.
Yeah, exactly. Horrible things.
So like, what is it that sometimes they're horrible. Sometimes they're
they're really good too.
they're really good
sometimes.
too. Yeah. So you have to look at like what is it that's causing us to make these, what makes us do things? What do you choose to do, and why do you decide to do that?
That's a good question. I
So
don't
like
know.
for instance, like Dylan as a person, like what do you do?
Your basic needs. So like eat, sleep.
You eat and sleep. Yeah.
Um,
You eat because you need to. Otherwise you'll die.
Right. So
Right.
that's
You have
a
some-
big driver, and that's why. And you
Exactly.
you make money because it helps you eat the foods you
Survival.
want. You get a shelter. Survival. You're trying to survive. Number one. That's our number one goal, right?
Yes.
And then
Fundamentally, there's self-preservation is there.
yeah,
Now, if you look at the rest of the animals, right? There's really nothing beyond self-preservation. It's self-preservation and procreation.
yeah,
You can think of procreation as another form of self-preservation because it's carrying on your genetic lineage.
yeah,
It's like, I'm going to survive through my children.
exactly.
way. So those things are pretty much the same thing. So for an animal, once they have food, once they have sex, I mean, that's pretty much it. But if you look at a
Yeah,
human
they don't
being,
do anything fun. My dog just lays around all day.
but they're fine. It's
I
not
know.
like it's
I
not
always
like,
find that weird. It's like, don't you get bored?
yeah, it's not like they're depressed because they don't get to do something else. Like they're fulfilled at that point.
Weird.
But if you look at a human being,
Strange.
we're not like that.
Right. More complex.
Those are our like fundamental needs. Once you satisfy those things, naturally there needs to be something more. And this has been documented, or this topic has been explored in psychology, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, whatever.
Exactly. That's
It's
what I
like,
was thinking of.
like fundamentally it's like food, sex, whatever. Not necessarily sex, but like procreation is there
Yeah.
as, again, self-preservation. But then, you move on to like what we consider higher aspects of life, like social needs, or, finding a partner, like a life partner,
Yeah.
having kids maybe. But all those things are in search of, they're all in search of something, right? You're basically trying to make life more pleasant. If you look at it, everything you're trying to do is you're trying to make life more pleasant, however you know how.
Yeah.
Right? So some guy, let's say he thinks money is going to make his life better. That's what he knows. He knows money. So
Yeah.
he just goes after money. He might become very career-oriented. He might, become an entrepreneur, whatever. He'll try to get money, depending on how his specific drive is, and according to his capability, he'll go in the direction that he wants. Another person might not care about money, or maybe they don't think it'll make them happy, or they don't think it'll make their life pleasant. So maybe somebody will chase girls.
Yeah.
Maybe some other person will do drugs.
Yeah. Or an
So-
athlete or something.
Yeah,
you
or
know?
maybe somebody will just train. They'll just exercise and
Yeah.
exercise because it makes them feel good. And for each one of these people, they see something that they think is gonna make their life more pleasant. Now this is fine, like, right, we all do something like this. But the problem is it's coming from an external source. Right? But human experience is happening within you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Like
I agree.
say somebody says something really nice about you. And you're like, "Oh wow, that was so nice."
Yeah.
And then you just feel good. It's you that's doing that. You're the one making yourself feel good, right? I mean, like when we say feeling good, feeling bad, it's a question of chemistry inside your system, right?
Right, endorphins.
Yeah, your endorphins, things inside your mind or in your brain, other chemicals. There's all sorts of complex chemical things happening inside your body.
Right.
Someone says something nice to you. It's not that they're doing that to you. It's not that they're making you feel good. They're just triggering something within you, and you're reacting in a certain way. It's your reaction, but this reaction is happening compulsively.
Yeah.
It's not in your grasp to just turn on these chemicals, right?
Right.
Otherwise, we would just all do that.
But we try with like video games and things that make us feel good.
Yeah,
Trigger
exactly.
some of these drugs, for instance.
Exactly. You're trying to do something in the outside world to get your system to sort of react in a certain way. So
Right.
this is the whole thing besides behind this yoga, behind inner engineering. You're trying to move away from this compulsive state of reaction into just a conscious state of action in general. So if you take this to the extreme, there's yogis like Sadhguru and there's other yogis in the past who have spoken about this. Many, many people have spoken about this throughout history.
Yeah.
That there's this concept of enlightenment. Okay.
Yes.
So I guess maybe that could be like the extreme, but the way Sadhguru talks about his experience is that nothing happens within himself compulsively. Everything is conscious. So again, it's not like I don't know this to be true. I'm just kind of taking him at his word.
Right.
That this is his experience of life.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't feel he has anything to gain about, like, why would he lie about that? And you look at the man's actions and you look at his competencies and his capabilities and everything he's done. I mean, to me, he's a person I trust. So yeah, I admit maybe it's not completely logical for me to like just accept him at his word, but I don't think life is just complete logic. It just doesn't. I don't think it works out that way.
Okay.
So there's an aspect of trust. I have trust for this person, Sadhguru.
Yeah.
And so for that reason is, why I got so involved in all this Isha stuff. To fundamentally with this idea of inner engineering, I want to make myself in the way that I want to be, not just be constantly reacting to the outside world.
Interesting.
Compulsively. Because this is where anxiety comes from. Or depression comes from.
Uncontrol, not
Because
being able to control
people, something happened 5 years ago, let's say, and you think about it and you just dwell on this, and then you get depressed.
Yeah.
This is a compulsive thing that's happening within your system.
Right.
If you're really conscious, if you're really capable, if you had really engineered yourself the way you wanted to, theoretically, you would just not be depressed, right? You would just like not react in this way. It. You would just not react.
Yeah.
You would just be normal in its natural
Stoic,
state.
Almost, right?
That's one way to look at it. Sure. Stoicism has been compared to a lot of these as like a Western form of these Eastern philosophies, we'll call them.
Okay. Interesting. That's what I think of, like Stoicism a little bit. Just kind of not reacting too much to, well, as far as negativity goes, and depression, it's like, but it's hard because again, you don't, obviously I don't have control over these things. So, what kind of things does he say that like you could do or change, or how do you learn to kind of control yourself?
So the analogy that he makes a lot of the time is basically like reading a user's manual. So like if you have some complex machine, you read the manual, right? Or you watch a YouTube video or something to get you to learn how to use the tool.
Yeah.
So that's how he describes these practices, these yoga practices. It's a way for you to, in one sense, settle down your mind, to settle down your body, all these things, and allow you to just observe your system and see how it functions, because it's your attention. That's the key here. You have to pay attention to your system. Otherwise, everything is just happening like haphazardly. There's lots of things happening within you all the time that you're either not conscious of at all, or that you're somewhat conscious of, but you never even articulated, or you just never thought of it.
You never don't pay attention.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah,
Unconscious of, basically, right?
exactly.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I'm guessing a lot of this, or maybe it includes a lot of meditation, stuff like that.
The word meditation,
I know it's a
doesn't really
broad term.
yeah, it doesn't really mean anything. If you look at the yogic science, and this is how it's been traditionally presented, it's never been presented as a religion. It's always been presented as a science, as an inner science. So it differs from the external sciences where you can measure things and you can, you can see things physically.
Scientific method, right?
This is just different because it's not in the outside world. This is a different place. This is your
Right.
consciousness, right? This is your interiority. It's a subjective dimension. So there's a different method.
Weird.
Yeah. And so that's where all these yogis come in, is that they have designed these tools for you to come to a certain state of ease within yourself. So you can, in his words, read the user's manual.
Right. Now, before I do want to go into like what you did in India and stuff like that, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But I want to tell you a little bit about, because I've been doing a lot of like studying on like the microbiome of your body and your bacteria and stuff. Have you familiar with like anything like that?
Just a few things that I've heard here and there.
Because I feel like what I'm learning is that has a lot to do with all of your behavior.
Your gut health is so important.
Yeah, see?
It's so important. And, I'd heard this before. But after being in India, so the thing about this program is it's a 7-month program. Approximately 7 months.
Okay. Were you there for 9 months?
I was there for 9 months. I came a little early. I was a little eager.
a little eager. Okay.
So I just went a little early. And this year, it actually goes between two lunar events. That's why it's 7 months.
Okay.
So it varies every year how long it is exactly. But I was there about 9 months. So the thing about like the program is it's supposed to be a way for you to stick to your practices. That's one thing. To be involved in a certain sort of activity, ideally some sort of selfless activity, something that you're not going to gain from. Because if you're constantly worried about gaining something, it's a different mode of being. If you're like trying to get something, it's different than just, if you do something selflessly, it's just things just happen naturally. And it's like, there's no ego involved. That's one way to put it.
Okay.
So the program's designed in a way that they give you work. It's not supposed to be about you. You're just supposed to do some sort of activity, keep you busy, but you're supposed to be fully involved in it. But it's not supposed to be like, there's no sense of self-gain, right? None of us are making any money by being there.
I know.
We're all just there to support the foundation.
You're just volunteer, essentially.
Exactly. So we do volunteer work.
Although they are giving you shelter?
Yeah, all the food and shelter.
Okay.
Shelters, yeah.
I mean, that's
it's
that's
like
good.
we were in like a dorm kind of setting.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So like the point of being in this program is you get to, one thing is that you get to really look at yourself. You take a hard look at yourself.
Okay.
One way. So you observe your system. Man, one thing I really noticed about myself is my gut.
Yeah.
Like it's really important that you keep your gut happy.
I know.
Because if your gut's not happy, you're not happy.
I know. It's your gut, actually, the microbiome, little microorganisms, there's millions and probably billions in your body, in your gut, and they actually communicate with your brain, which I learned.
There's more like living organisms inside of you than there are cells of you.
Yeah. I know.
Which is really bizarre. It's like
I know.
These things are just living inside of you.
And they're like, they have thoughts and they have motivations.
Yeah, they're doing their own thing.
Yeah. And they're trying to get you to do things.
You're just like their house.
They're trying to get you to do things. I heard the mitochondria is trying to get you to do shit. It's like so what I learned too, and this is kind of a side note, but I've been studying a lot about dieting and gut health and just different things and food and nutrition. But like when you're sick, you get like a fever, and it's like you feel tired, right? And you don't want to move. That's actually, you think it's like the sickness, the illness making you tired. It's actually your body saying, hey, sit down, relax. You don't spend any energy because we're going to need this energy to fight this bacteria or whatever's in your body. You know what I mean? So your body's actually telling you, like, even with inflammation and stuff, like your body, it's like stay off this leg, you know, we're going to inflame it, you know, so we can work on it and stuff like that. Like your whole body is really trying to do stuff for you, like for your benefit, you know what I mean? And you want it to be as powerful and as strong. And so it's so important to keep it as healthy as possible, from what I'm understanding. And I want to go into your diet too, because I know you were a vegetarian or a vegan?
Vegetarian.
Vegetarian. Are you still?
Yeah.
That's great. And I'm guessing all the food there was just hopefully vegetarian, right? Or
Yeah, it's all vegetarian diet. We get 2 meals a day. This is not like because we can't afford 3 meals a day. It's just suggested, like you eat 2 meals a day.
Right. Well, because they probably practice like intermittent fasting, I'm guessing, right?
It works out that way, yeah. We don't have this concept of intermittent fasting,
right?
But Sadhguru says it's really important. Ideally, in ideal circumstances, is you have 1 meal, and you wait 8 hours. Until your next meal. So that's how our meals are structured. So first batch of brunch. So we have brunch and we have a dinner. So brunch, let's say it starts at 10, and dinner starts at 7.
Okay.
So in between there, ideally, you don't have anything.
Interesting.
Because this is just the most efficient way for your food to go through your system.
Right.
And when you keep your gut just clean from anything, so there's like, from dinner to brunch, you obviously don't have anything either.
Yeah.
So you have enough space in between your meals because your system needs kind of like a break. And actually, there's 1 day during the lunar calendar where we fast. We just skip brunch. So you actually
24-hour fast.
Yeah. So because we skip brunch and we have 2 meals a day, that means 24 hours we go without food.
Yeah.
Just once. I think once every 14 days. I don't remember exactly.
And what is the reason for that? Or do they have
just to give your system a break?
Just give your system a break.
It's sort of cleansing.
Yeah. I find that interesting because there's always been fasting in a lot of it's very spiritual. Like you look at the Bible, and I think the Quran, like every religion has fasting in it, and doctors are finding more and more benefits to fasting too.
Mm-hmm.
And is that interesting how that kind of relationship has always been?
Yeah, it's always been there.
You know, I'm a huge proponent of fasting and different things like that because again, your gut needs a break, your body needs a break. But yeah, so you ate your vegetarian food. What do they have, like anything that you're used to here? Do they have all kinds of new fruit and shit that you've never heard of?
So it's all it's South Indian cuisine. So it's food that's local to that specific part of the country.
Interesting.
In Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
So typically what Sadhguru says about food, he says lots of things about food because it's really important. One thing is that he says you really should be eating what's local to you. Like whatever food is grown within a certain radius, let's say, that's the food that you should be consuming. Just because of the way that the earth functions, the way that your system functions, and your location on the earth, if you're there for a period of time, like you should be eating that food. Like you're in that climate. All these things, I think that's something we've seen in like modern scientific research, is that all these things we don't really understand. It's all kind of mixed together. Like everything is there for a reason. Like nothing is just happening. There's nothing in nature that's designed like without a reason.
Right.
Everything is. I think the word I'm thinking of is like symbiosis. Like everything is supporting each other. So you being in a certain spot, you living in a certain place for a certain amount of time, you should be eating food that's there.
Mm-hmm.
That's one aspect there. That's one aspect of it.
Yeah.
Another aspect of it is just a cultural thing. So we're in Tamil Nadu. So the place that I'm in is Isha Yoga Center. So we refer to it as an ashram. So an ashram is basically like my understanding, the way I explain it to people, it's like a campus. You think of it just like this is our campus, but it's all geared towards this spiritual intentions.
Okay.
So we're at the ashram. There's maybe about 1,200 people in this program with me. We're Sadhanapala.
1,200 people.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a bit.
And there's maybe like 3,000 people living there just already. Either full-time volunteers or they're students or they're brahmacharis.
So we're talking like 1,500 people total. 300.
No, 3,000.
Oh, 3,000.
So,
sorry.
yeah, it's over 4,000 people living.
Oh,
there.
so you're only just a quarter, basically, of this.
Yeah, Southern Pali people are just there temporarily.
Okay. And what's the percentage of like Indian people compared to outsiders?
In Sadanapada, let's say maybe at least half of them are Indians.
Oh, okay.
So because it's Sadhguru is known globally,
Right.
and the foundation has grown a lot in the past couple decades that it's been in existence. This community that I was at is kind of an international place. So it's almost like being there. You don't really experience India, like full blown India. It's like you kind of see India through this different perspective of like I'm living in Isha Yoga Center. It's a more more international place. There's lots of Europeans there.
Yeah.
I didn't actually meet many Americans at all. And most of the Americans I met were like Indians that moved to America. Stuff like that.
Interesting.
For whatever reason, I don't know why. I met lots of Europeans though.
I wouldn't. Oh, I don't know anyone who else talks about Sadhguru.
Hmm.
So it's not as well known.
I don't know if
Over
if I told you this, but when I was in Tennessee, I met this guy. This was during COVID, so I was in quarantine for 2 weeks, and then I came out of quarantine and I met this guy. We were just talking. He's like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm from like Chicago area." He's like, "Oh, me too." I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "Where?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm from like Northwest Indiana, actually." He's like, "Oh, me too." Turns out he's from Lowell.
He's from Lowell. Okay.
Yeah, so we grew up 20, 30 minutes away from each other.
That's crazy.
And he actually knew some of the same people I knew.
Yeah.
Which is really crazy.
Yeah.
So, people are Sadhguru's. He's making himself known. Like people are finding out about him more and more. Is what I see.
Did you make a lot of friends while you're down there?
I met so many friends, man.
Jesus.
Yeah, I met lots of Europeans, lots of Indians. I met lots of friends and
do you
lots of cool people.
You're not on social media, or are you?
Nah, not really.
Where can people follow you?
You can't follow me. You can follow me in person.
So how do you
Stalk me?
So when you meet all these people, how do you stay in touch with them?
Oh, we have like a Telegram group. I mean, I have messaging. I just don't have social media. Like
like a WhatsApp or something. Does people use WhatsApp there?
Lots of people use WhatsApp. Internet outside of America in general, people use WhatsApp.
Right.
A lot of Americans I've learned don't even know what WhatsApp is.
Well,
but
why would they?
Yeah, because we have text messaging, right?
I met a girl on like a dating app, and she was Asian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she was Chinese, but and then she's like immediately like, "Hey, let's go on WhatsApp and talk." And I thought she wasn't a real human.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she was just kind of talking weird, and I was like, I don't know if you're like trying to, I don't know, take advantage of me or steal me, Anyway, so I just thought that was weird that she wanted me talking on WhatsApp, but anyway, so you made a lot of friends down there, which is awesome. I figured you would. Did you room with like a bunch of people, like a bunk bed or something? How was your
So let me just quickly go back to one thing, just to finish up last thing about the food.
Oh yeah, great.
So one thing about the food is that because we're in like one thing Sadhguru he thinks is very important about setting up an ashram is you respecting local culture.
Oh yeah.
So because we're in Tamil Nadu, so we eat the food that's local to that specific place. So yeah, like we have Tamil people. We have people that like cook that are locals. So they'll like we hire local people to do like a lot of the cooking and cleaning and stuff. So they end up cooking a lot of local Tamil dishes.
So there's like a cafeteria there. Everybody go
There's
to.
Like a brunch and a dinner time. So if you don't make first batch brunch, you have to come back for second batch.
Okay.
If you don't make second batch, then there's like a third like open batch. So it's like a counter style.
Oh, that's nice.
They just serve you.
Yeah. And so is a lot of the food there organic then? What do you know
we
about
grow
it?
a lot of it.
Yeah, I said it's all grown there.
Yeah, it's all like local.
Local?
We have several farms.
And they don't eat cows there.
We have cows.
But they don't eat them.
We don't eat the cows. No, we take their milk and we make ghee and stuff.
Okay.
You know what ghee is?
It's like I've heard of it. I couldn't tell you what it looks like.
It's clarified butter. So it's like buttered with all the like milk stuff taken out of it.
Okay, because I hear like people on like the ketogenic diet, if you're familiar, they'll drink like coffee and they'll put ghee in it.
Oh, really?
Drink it because they can't have any carbohydrates. So it's just fat. It's just like
ghee
a fat
coffee.
content.
Yeah, maybe.
And MCT oil. It's to help. It's
what's MCT oil?
MCT oil turns straight into ketone bodies. It just bypasses the metabolism, goes straight to your liver, and it turns into a ketone. Do you know what ketones are? I'm guessing you do.
It's been a long time.
So ketones are basically how your body uses fat as fuel. Because as you know, you use like glycogen. Your body uses carbohydrates, and that's how we run. We use glycogen. But our bodies are supposed to be using fat. That's why we have all these fat stores. But we're not used to it because we eat a Western diet here. We just eat carbs.
Yeah.
So that's why it's even better to eat vegetarian, depending on how many carbs you eat. But you don't want to eat like that enriched, like bullshit.
Yeah.
You know? But if you eat fruits and vegetables and
So one
even
thing I
whole
was like
grain.
surprised about like India, I think we have this perception of Indians. Oh, they're all like slim, they're all like maybe healthier because they eat vegetarian.
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's my perception. And
I don't
then
know.
like some of people that I met and spoke with, they had the perception that Americans are either fat or like lazy.
yeah, that's what everyone thinks.
Yeah. So I had this story about
And we are.
some people are,
I feel like
but that's
we
the thing. Some Indians are too, and actually a lot more than I expected.
are. Really?
So one thing there's one story I had. So I got, like I said, I got there early for the program. So the program doesn't really officially start until orientation. So I had like a few weeks of being in there in the program, just pre-orientation. So basically, like they kind of let you do whatever you want as far as like your volunteer work. So they have a special word for this. It's called seva. So your seva is like your volunteer work. So for my seva, I wanted to do something outside. So I did gardening. They have like a gardening department. They have like
that's
a
so nice.
tree care department, which is like it's still
You just
gardening,
hug
but it's
trees,
like yeah, we hug trees. No, it's like gardening, but it's in another part of the ashram.
Okay.
And they have farming, stuff like that. So I got to try all three. I tried a few other things too. But there was one day when we were in farming, and we had to like manure. We had to fertilize this field. I think they were growing turmeric there or something. I don't really remember. But we basically, there's lots of us here in farming on this day. Maybe like 40, 50, 60 of us. There's a lot of us there.
Okay.
And we
Wow.
made a chain, like a human chain. So we have like these like round buckets kind of things. So somebody at the beginning of the chain, they'll take a big scoop of like the manure, whatever it is. I don't know if manure was mixed with something or if it was just straight manure.
Yeah.
It's my first time working with manure, but it didn't really smell like anything. It was just like,
Yeah. It's probably mixed with like dirt or something.
maybe it was mixed with dirt. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
exactly.
know how it works. To be honest.
we take this and we pass it down the chain, and then at the end we dump it. We dump
Okay.
it out, and there's somebody over there that knows where to dump it and how much to dump. And everybody in the middle is just like, they're brand new. They're just literally passing the bucket down to the next person.
How many buckets do you have rotating? Like 20?
Oh, lots of buckets. Yeah, at least 20.
Jeez.
It's a big field.
Wow.
So we were doing this for hours. Yeah, it's the hot sun. Certain parts we have shade. This is like late summer, so it's pretty warm. So on this day, it happens that me and my friend were kind of all the way at the end of the chain where we're giving it to the guy that he disperses this manure.
Yeah.
And the way that I was working, so, okay, back up. I had a friend, his name was Tinku.
Okay.
That's his name. And he's like, I think he has a agricultural background. So he's used to working on farms, that kind of thing. And so he's very physically, like, he can do things physically. He's a small guy, skinny guy, but he's strong.
Okay.
Sturdy fella. So on this day, I'm handing the stuff up to him, and, we finished working that day, whatever. And he told me at the end, he's like, man, like, I'm so surprised that you were able to, like, keep up like that. Like,
Wow.
you were, because even, like, he had said that, he thought that all Americans, they couldn't do anything physical. Like, they weren't good for physical work, basically.
Yeah.
But basically, like, I broke this idea in his mind that,
Oh.
like, Americans can't do anything physical. Because you look at lots of the people that we were with, lots of Indians, they were like, a lot of them were just, they didn't want to do this, super lazy, super slow.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of work to do, and we're trying to get it done quick.
Right.
So he was like super surprised that I was able to keep up with him, basically. So yeah, that's one thing I noticed over time is like, a lot of these Indian people, they're just as unhealthy as Americans. Like they eat vegetarian food, but a lot of their food is deep fried. So
Well, that's not good.
They consume lots of oil.
What kind of oils do they use? Like vegetable
Different
oils?
vegetable oils.
Those are so bad for you.
Yeah.
The worst
Also-
food you can eat, actually.
And like their staple in South India is white rice.
Yeah, white
So
rice.
they eat lots and lots of white rice. I mean, like every single meal, they eat white rice.
That's not good. They should
Heaps
eat
of
brown
it.
rice. Brown
Heaps of
rice.
it.
Yeah, that's not good.
So
Makes you sleepy.
yeah, it seems like India is modernizing in that way, which is
Okay.
like not a good way to modernize, right?
No, it's the worst part of our
Yeah,
culture.
it's like the worst part of it. It's like they're a lot of people in India. It's like they're very proud of their heritage and their culture, and as another part of the population is like they want to. Maybe some people feel ashamed of parts of their culture, or they want to become more Western. Lots of things that happen in India. I mean, we don't maybe are that aware of this here in America because maybe we just don't learn about it, but.
I would say no. Yeah, I don't know.
We have some knowledge, but I mean,
Basic.
India was under British rule for 200 years.
Yeah.
200 years. Imagine like some invader coming in and just, oh, this is ours now. So lots of things.
That's
They're
crazy.
still experiencing like this hangover from colonialism. It maybe ended. I think they gained their independence post World War II,
Oh,
but
wow.
still they
That's
have all
recent.
like this. The British imposed a lot of things into them, and there's a lot of psychological things happening there in the Indian psyche. I think certain amount of like they've like an inferiority complex
Yeah.
in the minds of some people. I'm not saying everybody,
Yeah.
but I think some people feel this way. Like they feel not like they're not good enough because they're not Western, or maybe they feel ashamed of their traditional practices, and
Yeah.
traditional whatever.
Sometimes the traditions, I feel like you're like falling behind almost. With
Yeah,
because
like,
every other cultures are moving forward and
Yeah, like
changing.
they're too tribal or too like indigenous, like
Right.
they're backwards or like savage almost.
Right.
That kind of thing. There's lots of ideas like that have been imposed by the British. But even before the British, again, they were occupied by like the Mughals.
Yeah.
Came 600 years.
Yeah.
So India's just been invaded over
Wow.
time.
Yeah, I
So,
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff has happened there.
Now,
know.
India is one of the most poor countries from what I've read before. Is that true? Like, as far as poor, I mean, like the gap between the rich and the poor is extremely wide, and there's a huge
Yeah.
population of really, really poor people.
There's some like super super rich people, but there's a lot of poor people. But there's also like lots of just normal people.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't say I really experienced like a lot of that poverty or
Right, 'cause
anything.
you kind of-
because I was just in this one spot
Right, right.
where I just experienced India through this little lens of the yoga center. But yeah, most people I think are just most people can do fine. I mean, most people go to college.
Yeah.
At least the people that I think Sadhguru is more oriented to like the educated crowd. In general, the people that are gravitated towards Sadhguru are typically tend to be more professionals. So most people that I talked to were either went to college or they were in college.
That's good.
But it seems like everybody manages. There's less like bureaucracy over there. Like here, it seems like there's lots of, I don't know, lots of rules, lots of formalities. I don't know if over there it just seems like people are able to make things work. With what they have. I never got the impression, at least anybody that I talked to, like they were like struggling so, financially so badly that they couldn't.
Yeah. But how,
they lean on the family a lot too. They tend to live in like more, they live with more extended families also.
right. I know a lot of cultures do that, and
Mhm.
I think that's great. And it's kind of weird that we don't. Our culture doesn't push that.
Yeah, so over there, they if you're a guy, you live in your house until you get married. If you don't get married, you're just gonna keep living in your house,
Yeah.
and it's like that's normal.
Welcome
Whereas,
to my life, right?
I mean, here now it's become more normal for us to do that too, right?
Well, because I
Like
think
you live at
right
home.
now it's like inflation is so high. It's almost like it's really hard for a single guy to move out, buy a house. by
There's
himself.
economic reasons there
Yeah.
for sure, but in general, because everybody's doing it, now it's become kind of normal. Whereas back in the day, you might be seen as kind of like a loser, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
oh, you're like 30, live with your parents, like, oh,
Yeah.
what a loser.
Right.
But now it's like, oh yeah, all my friends live at home. Like, who cares? It's
Right.
It's
Now
not
it's like
that.
so economical that everyone just accepts it. But it
That's-
used to be the parents used to kick their kids out. I think it was like
Exactly.
the boomers.
Yeah, it's a boomer thing.
It's a boomer thing. They were like, get
Yeah.
out of our house. When I was your age, I was out married and 3 kids, job.
So in India, yeah, you'll stay at home until you get married, and
Yeah.
even when you get married, your wife will move in with you, and you'll continue living at home.
Oh, that's a dream.
Unless you
that's
really-
the dream.
if you really want to move out, you can. But yeah, my understanding is lots of people just continue living with their parents. So basically, the ladies will join their husbands' families.
That's weird.
Women kind of leave their families
Oh, that's
in a
sad,
certain way. Yeah.
but kind of good. I'd rather leave the house and move in with someone else. But
Uh,
I mean, I'm sure
I
they
mean,
do.
yeah.
Like I said, most families probably probably get the hell out of there
Hmm.
once they get financial settled. But
Yeah. Who knows?
I think it's good. I mean, you need the parent support's so important because
it's
like
helpful because
see
you
my
have kids.
yeah. So my sister's here with a child, and she's divorced. So
Mhm.
her kid, like, I mean, she would have such a hard time.
Yeah.
Taking care of her kid alone. Like she had a fever this weekend, and like she's just like, "Hey, can you mind if I drop my kid off for 4 hours and I can take a nap, just get some sleep, just relax and have her, just be on her own for a little bit." And so my mom and dad, Logan's grandparents, are just like so important to her as a single mom, but also like for our family stability and for friendship and community. Like I think it's just extremely important. So, I think it's good that those.
Yeah, there's lots of benefits, but there's
Yeah.
also cons always with anything. It's a trade-off
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's not
because
I
your
don't
parents are
love it.
always going to be in your business.
I know, and nobody. You have like it's like the relationship with your parents is always different. It's not a friend. It's like, ugh, my mom's telling me to clean my room
Yeah,
or some
it's
bullshit. It's
like-
like,
it's
I'm
like-
not a child anymore.
like-
like
It's like part friend, part authority figure.
yes, and it'll always be like that. Like
Yeah.
you don't think you can change it. I mean, maybe there can, but you know what I mean. Like it's just not the same.
But it's even in India. I think it's man. Like living at home in India, it's like I said, your parents are in your business if you live at home. But in India, it's not just your parents are in your business. It's like your whole neighborhood is in your business. Your whole community is in your business.
I like that though.
They're really in your business though. Like
What do you mean?
in India, if you have to get married.
Do they have arranged marriages there? From
So
what I remember, they do.
my understanding, so most of the people that I was friends with, most of them are from cities. So city people are always going to be different than the rural folk. But my understanding, way most people do it is when you become of marrying age, when you're ready to get married, your parents will go into the community, and they will look for somebody for you. So basically, it's like your parents will start meeting other people's parents.
And they'll start talking. Oh.
They'll say, "Hey, my son's looking for a wife,"
And
they're
they'll-
like, "Oh, my wife is looking for a husband."
"Oh wow!"
And they'll try to figure out if you're compatible first, and they'll look at compatibilities on all possible levels. So just like your temperament, your attitudes, your personalities, your whatever, any type of compatibility things that they could find, they'll try to pair you up in the best possible way. And then at the end, they'll present this person to you. Like they'll show you like, hey, here's this person, here's what they look like.
Yeah.
So you can say no. You can say no, I don't like this person for this reason, whatever.
Yeah.
Depending on how quote unquote valuable you are, you could say you could reject more people, right? If you have a higher status,
Yeah, of course.
you can just reject more people.
That's how
until
it
you
is
find-
here. Essentially.
Exactly. But over there, it's it's almost more of a marketplace. It's
Yeah.
it's a little
Because they're shopping. You're
it's a little
shopping
strange,
for
yeah.
a spouse. Essentially, your parents are.
yeah,
It's
and there's
bizarre.
like this implicit attitude of like, well, like the woman is looking for somebody to take care of her. Whereas here, I mean, maybe here it's like women have their own careers and stuff. Depending on your own situation in India, she might have a career also. She might not. Things are changing fast in India, right? Because they're moving from this traditional way of being into this modern time. So maybe it's kind of confusing time right now for them. So this is just the way I see things. But
Yeah.
it's more of a marketplace there. Like it's like you're clearly looking for somebody to like start a family with and have kids with. And I mean, I guess it's not that different from what we have here, but it seems
And now,
weird.
are
I
they?
don't
Is
know,
there?
something
There's
about it.
casual dating there too. Like, are people just sleeping around with each other too until they want
It's
to? Until
very
they want
frowned
to.
upon.
Really?
It's
Okay.
frowned
So
upon,
it's
yeah.
basically
maybe if you go away to school and your parents aren't going to be able to know what you're doing, and you can get away with that kind of stuff, but you're not going to be able to just like bring a girl home.
Right.
It's like, and like I said, everybody's going to be in your business.
Right.
Like,
Right.
nobody's going to think that's okay, and you're going to get shamed.
Shame.
Like it's yeah.
Damn.
I was reading something on Reddit the other day where some guy, he was trying to bring a girl into his apartment that he's leasing, and his landlord is like not letting him because it's not appropriate. And they do stuff like this in India.
Okay.
Like socially, it's a
Cultural
very
thing. Yeah.
it's a very it's rigid socially, and in my opinion, it's kind of like their biggest weakness as a culture is how rigid their social system is. Because if like we're 30, like we're in their eyes, we're like we should be married by now. Like it's
Mhm.
not too late for us. We can still get married, but it's getting to that point where you're almost like ineligible.
What? So if you're like 40, or say, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll say there's a range that you're too
let's
old.
say from the age of like 20 to 30, you should be getting married.
So if you're like 40, they just like give up on you.
I mean, you can try looking for a bride, but you might not be successful. I don't
feel like
really
you'd be
know.
even more. I mean, well, because there's other 40-year-old girls, or no, they all
Yeah, who
married
knows?
away. Because they still, I mean,
I'm just going off of what my friends told me because
Yeah, yeah.
a couple of my friends are in this boat right now.
oh, okay.
You know, they're 30, 32. I have a couple friends, lots of friends actually my age that I made.
Yeah.
Their parents are on them like, hey, you need to get married. Like, it's time for you to get married. Like, the community is like putting lots. See,
I know.
if I don't get married, it's the community is gonna think I'm like whatever, a failure, a disgrace, whatever. But it's not just that. They're gonna look at my parents. They're gonna judge my parents. They're gonna say, hey, you guys failed
right. So
to find your son
and
or
that's
wife.
why the pressure is so big for them to find you.
Exactly.
Like,
They're
you need to
just
get married
trying to
'cause
they're
I'm
just trying to
gonna
get
look
their
bad.
monkey off of their back,
Right.
by getting you married.
It's kind
It's
of
not. They might not even care about you getting married at all. It's just that the community's putting so much pressure on them to get
right.
you to get married.
It's an interesting
It's
system.
like that. So a couple of my friends are in the situation right now where it's like their parents are really begging them, like, please, you have to get married. Like, it's time for you to get married.
And are they like? Do they even want to get married?
I have one friend who I don't think he really cares that much. One friend, he's open to the idea. He's kind of been, has had lots of different thoughts of what to do with his life, and he's just in his 20s, just like us. They don't know what they want to do with their lives either. Yeah, it just depends on the person. Some people really want to, some people don't care that much, and
Yeah.
some people are more, they feel that pressure more than others.
I feel like with my life, like I just like recently, like we talk about the hierarchy of needs, like checked like almost all the boxes off. Like I'm financially, I'm well off, like this and that. I've gotten everything, and now I'm like finally like, all right, I kind of want to settle down now. Like when I remember dating and like when I was like 24, 26, and just being like so picky. And be like, nah, I don't really care. I don't really want a girlfriend that much. It's a lot of work. I don't know if I ever want to get married. And then I hit the point where I'm like, I'm 30 now, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see why I kind of, and I'm less picky now too, which is interesting. It's like my standards go down because I'm really now I'm like really looking for somebody, which is weird. But my whole like view on relationships changed.
Yeah, it could be that your standards went down. It's possible, but it also might be just be that your priorities have changed.
Yes.
Maybe you're not looking for the hottest chick out there. You're looking for somebody that could actually be a mother to your children.
Right. And I think because like, well, before it was like I didn't really want anyone. So I was like, well, if I meet someone really great, then I'll date them and we'll see where it goes. But now it's like, no, I really want to date someone. And I'm, and so it's like that's why my standards have gone, they've kind of narrowed or, I don't know the word for it, but like more focused.
Yeah, you're just open
I mean?
to more people.
I'm open to more people. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, no, I just find that interesting, but it's like it took me until I was 30 about, honestly, like this past year. Like,
yeah, so I think traditionally in India they get married around 20. I mean, it's like
yeah,
same people as like religious people do here, right? Typically Christians will get married younger than the rest of the population. It's kind of the same thing.
You know what the divorce rates are in like the U.S. or in India?
It's around 50%.
People it is around 50%.
So in India, it's much, much lower. But again, it's not because that they're less miserable in their marriage.
Really?
It's just because they can't get married because of the social pressure. They cannot get divorced.
Doesn't you think that makes them forces them to kind of make it work more?
Maybe.
It's
possible.
Because here it's like, oh, it's not it is frowned upon to get divorced. And I wonder if that's going to change.
It's not a good thing, right? But what I heard recently is that for millennials, rates of divorce have gone down, because I think our generation is realizing it's like how big of a commitment. We don't have this social. Maybe back in the day, our parents had more of a social pressure to get married, whereas we don't. So maybe they got married for the wrong reasons. Not saying our parents, but just the generation older than us. And now maybe more of them get divorced because they realize, oh, I didn't want to do this in the first place. So I think maybe our generation is like maybe a little bit more conscious of this thing, like, oh, marriage is a big deal. I should really find the right person because I don't want to get divorced, right? What's the point of like wasting my life with this person that I'm going to end up getting divorced with anyways? You're just going to cause so many problems.
I don't know. That seems like it makes sense, but I think when you like someone, you don't even think.
That's possible.
You're just like, let's get married, and then it's a mistake. And I think that happens to everybody.
Maybe less people are just getting married. I don't know.
I know less people are getting married. I know less people are having kids. I know that's at like a low. I assume it's for economic or financial reasons. People are smarter. They're like, well, let's not have a kid yet. We're not
Also,
ready.
you don't really need to get married to have a relationship. There's some percentage of the
I
population that's like
agree.
that also.
I agree. But I think a lot of women and things like want to get married. Like they,
You don't have a big party.
yeah, I do. I hate weddings.
Yeah, I don't really get the appeal.
I would want just like a small little gathering that for $1,000 or
Yeah, it's such the average wedding apparently in U.S. is like 30 grand.
I know. My sister's was like 20 grand.
That's crazy.
Think about
man.
that. 20
You buy a
grand
car.
on a night. That wasn't even that fun. I mean, it was good. My sister's was fun, but like overall, like, is it $20,000 worth of fun? No.
Yeah, 20,000. Jesus.
Yeah, roughly.
That's
It was, roughly that. But that's how weddings cost, man. I know my friends have gone to, have really expensive weddings, and it's just like, it's just one night, man.
It's like buying a car.
And you get divorced anyway, so who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know people have like 3 weddings like that, like because they've gotten divorced so many times, and they do it again, and then they get divorced. And it's like,
Yeah.
stop,
Yeah.
buy a car. Anyway, but let's go back. How about you? I mean, did you meet any women there, or were you able to
Women.
talk to women
Oh,
there?
so many pretty girls, man.
Really?
Oh, there's so many cuties over there.
Nice. Okay. So did you flirt with any of them? Or?
So the thing no, I didn't. One thing in the ashram is you're not
Yeah.
supposed to have relationships.
That's what it sounded like. I was
Because the whole purpose of it is a spiritual thing. You're supposed to be able to go beyond your basic needs. One of these things being like sex. That's the idea. It was like you go beyond your base urges and you find something. You're searching for something higher, right? With
Right,
spirituality,
yeah.
that's the general concept. Whereas this just a purely physical relationship is not considered appropriate. If you get married, if you're in a committed relationship, that's completely different. And there have been people that meet during sadhanapada or they meet at the ashram and they get married
Yeah, of course.
and they have kids.
Yeah.
That's different because they're committed. But it's not appropriate over there to just like have a fling.
Right.
But you will see people and some people will start flirting with people. You'll start seeing people get close to each other.
Of course.
And it's something I noticed at the very end. So the program
especially
ends
when you're
with,
about to leave, you're like, oh, yeah,
man, it was crazy. The program ends with Mahashivratri, which is like it's the Shivratri before a certain I forget, it's a certain event of the year. It's basically the biggest night at Isha. We have this big festival basically, and we stay up all night with there's music and stuff, and people from the outside the ashram come. I don't know how many people came this year, but typically it's like 500,000 people come to this thing. It's a huge thing.
Do they have alcohol?
No alcohol. There's no alcohol in the ashram.
Awesome. I no drugs at all, any kind. Then. It's
No
just-
drugs, no.
That's awesome. I wish our culture was like that.
And
I hate drugs.
yeah,
But-
so on this Mahashivratri, this is like the end of the program, and it's like a fun night. Everybody's just having fun, listening to music, and just hanging out with their friends.
Yeah, just chilling.
So on this was like I said, this is the end of the program. So we've already all been here for 7, 8, 9 months.
So this is like
At
the
this point.
last weekend or last couple weekends.
This is like the official end of the program.
okay.
And on this day, man, I noticed so many people, like guys and girls, like with their arms around each other and all this stuff. Like, what the heck? Like, these are people that I've seen in my program throughout the whole, past few months. But it's like, oh, I didn't realize these two had like gotten so close, and now it's like
Yeah.
they look like they're really close. Like they want to maybe take it further.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not gonna get like kicked out of the ashram for holding hands with somebody. It's just if some swamis are like the male monks.
Okay.
And we refer to the female monks as mas.
Okay.
So if some swami sees you or something, like they'll say, hey, like you're not supposed to be doing this, like separate. Like you guys need to separate right now,
Wow.
like that. You're not gonna get if you get caught doing something physical, like if you get caught having sex or something like that, then you're probably gonna get kicked
Wow.
out. Yeah. Basically, like women or men are separated for lots of things. In your daily activity, like you're gonna be working with women. It's fine. It's like normal. But like our practices, and it's not strictly this way, but just the way that the program is structured. The men will do the practices in our own space for men, and the women will have their own space for women. And certain things are segregated where the men and women are separate. But in general, day-to-day activity, you're all mixed. It's not that different. It's not
Okay.
that weird.
All right. I was gonna.
Like obviously our dorms are just men
Well, yeah.
and our just women.
That
like
makes
that.
sense. Yeah. Otherwise, everybody would procreate.
Yeah,
like
too much
crazy.
procreation happening.
It'd be wild. So that's cool.
It really would get crazy, I think. Because
So-
a lot of these people in this program are young guys.
Yeah.
Young guys, either like I said, just like either still in college or just graduated college. Because I think the older you get, the less available you are going to be to take just 7 months off of work and all this stuff, leave your wife and
Right.
all this. So I think that's why the program is like this.
Right. And they're probably. You said they're in college or out of college.
Yeah, lots of
or
people
in
like
the middle probably.
yeah, lots of people just like still in college or figuring out
Just
what
take
they
a semester off, go do
yeah
this.
something like that, or they just graduated. Or
Yeah,
lots, people in all stages of life. But what I found is in South Nepal specifically tend to skew younger, like in the 20s.
yeah, that's cool. I think it's a good age to do that, something like that.
Yeah, it's a good time in your life is when you're young.
Yeah. So overall, you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. It was a really good
Yeah.
program. Good
I
experience.
think it sounds amazing. Like just like going out and do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a kind of unique thing, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm part of the fourth batch to do this program ever.
Yeah. So it's a relatively new program.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I think it was a good experience. And like I said, it's important to do this kind of thing early in your life so you can reap the benefits for longer, right?
Oh, for sure.
Because like I mentioned, it's just time for me to just take a hard look at myself, see, kind of just experiment with the practices, experiment with my diet, experiment lots of different things. Everything you do throughout the day influences you in some way. The way
Yeah.
you speak, the way you interact with people, the way you walk, your attitude, like all of these things. So 9 months of paying more attention to myself and the way I am. Yeah, it's opened my eyes to lots of things. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
Do you have any like big takeaways? Something that you've really learned, that you've really noticed about yourself, or that you
One thing is,
want to improve on?
like we already had discussed, is the gut, like
Yeah.
the way you eat. Not just what you eat, what you put in is obviously really important. It's also like the way you eat, the way you walk, the way you speak. Like you should try to do these things as consciously as possible. So I have this tendency to rush, to sort of, I have this anxiety that just kind of like keeps me going, and it speeds up, and that manifests when I speak sometimes,
Yeah,
or sometimes
same.
when I walk, when I move. And one thing I noticed early on in the program is like, because I found myself constantly getting into this like rushed
Yeah.
state of mind. It's like, man, I just have to just take it easy. Like I just have to consciously just slow down, walk a little slower,
Mm-hmm.
speak a little slower. Makes a huge difference.
Interesting.
Huge difference.
Yeah, it's something I do. This is super weird, and my neighbors probably think it's super weird. But every time I get out of my car, instead of like walking up to my front door, which is I just sprint up to the front door because I'm in a like I just like it's just quicker. It's just quicker, and I don't want to walk it.
I've had the same thing. Like people, people walk. Like let's say you live in let's say Bloomington, right? It's a very walkable place.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see people walking down the street. I have sometimes I would get this urge. I just want to run.
Yeah.
Because I'll just get there faster.
No, exactly. As long as you don't get sweaty.
But it's just a weird social thing, so I don't do it because people think you're a freak.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I were to look outside and see like my neighbor pull in and just sprint up to the front door, I'd be like, this guy's a weirdo. Yeah, I do it all the time because I don't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I should probably, and then maybe I should just slow down, because I'm always super fast, and it's something I never really thought about. I know I talk too fast. I've been told that before.
I talk too fast too. Even during this podcast, I've noticed like I'm speaking too fast and need to slow down. But sometimes
I think you've been doing great.
Sometimes I just have so much information and I just want to get it out
I know.
in like a reasonable amount of time. Otherwise, I'll be here for hours. And I'm aware of this, so that's sometimes why I speak fast.
I do it for like comedic relief sometimes. Like if you get a punchline, sometimes you just got to get it out, or like tone. Like I raise my voice, I go up and down, so it's like, but I understand it's more important for me to like articulate, and that's the most important thing, because I will stumble over my words, and I'll like listen to myself back and notice that like I just like slur all my words together, and it's like, ugh,
Man,
that's
I
gross.
do the same thing. I slur.
Yeah.
When I speak too fast, I'll start slurring, and sometimes it gets really bad, and I can't even like get the word out.
Yeah. I had a problem, like when I first noticed this, my uncle would come over and he couldn't understand me. He's like, what are you saying? You're slurring all your words. And I'm like, what? I'm just talking, man. And I was a kid. I was like middle school or something, high school. And I was just talking. Like, I don't know. All my friends at school know what I'm saying. And it's until you listen to yourself back where you can really like, oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. And it's definitely something I've been, and especially now at work, I'm always on the phone talking to people, and I have to talk slow and like I'm giving them instructions, so I'm like explaining things to people, and it's really helped me articulate, I think, and change the way I talk to people. So
yeah, and about languages in general, it's very important to be, at least to me, I think it's important to be precise with your language, and to articulate like precisely. Because I think a lot of times, I don't know, even you might not even know what you're trying to say. You have to slow down a little bit and think about what it is you're trying to say and try to say it as as accurately as possible and in a way that the other person's going to understand what you're saying.
Right. It's the simplest way and the quickest way too. Yeah. And I think if you do slow down when you're speaking, your brain has time to catch up and think of the next words in a better way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you talk too fast, then you're just like, you start stumbling over and you don't know what you're going to say. Like, When
you slow down your speech and you slow down your action in general, your movement, your mind will start to slow down. And when your mind slows down, it just works better because it's no longer in this state of agitation. It's just like relaxed. And that's where this yoga comes back, where we come back to is essentially what we're trying to do with these yoga practices is you're trying to bring your system, your whole system. So when I say system, I mean your body, your mind, everything that you have as, in your system, you're trying to bring it to a certain level of ease. Because when it's at ease, that's the only way you're going to get it to function properly. It's another analogy Sadhguru talks about is like friction. We're trying to get rid of the friction in our system.
Yeah.
So he brings this example of a car. If you have a car, you don't put any oil in it. You drive it for like 20 minutes. I mean, it's going to be so hot. That car is going to break down very quickly. And it's going to be super, super hot. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to lubricate the system. And on all these different levels, physically, like your muscles, your joints, everything, you're trying to get into proper alignment.
Right.
You're trying to get your mind work slowly, like not slowly. It should be at ease, so it's not in a state of agitation. So we're trying to remove all this friction. So day by day, it's very important when you do these yoga practices that you do them daily, because it takes time you're slowly like machining,
right,
smoothing out all of these things.
Repetition, practice.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to change overnight. You're not just going to do it once, and just like working out,
If you do it once, you will feel a difference.
Oh.
But if you want to make a long-term change, if you want to do transformation, like a real transformation, you have to, it takes time. It takes commitment.
So do you feel like you made a big transformation? Any kind of transformation?
I feel like transformation is coming my way. Like, I don't feel transformed.
Yeah.
But I feel like I made a lot of progress within myself. Like, I see what's blocking me, and I see what I need to work on, and I see what I need to do. So my objective, in this next 6 months is really to take it as far as I can and really just work on myself, focus on myself, and see what I can do in 6 months.
Yeah.
Because for me, the issues that I've been struggling with for a long time is like I've had like this back pain for a long time, and I've also had like issues with like this is okay. Like one thing that I noticed for myself in this program is just sort of like certain attitudes and emotions that kind of dominate my mind. And I've always known that fear and anxiety, those things have always been there with me for some time. But it wasn't until this program that I realized, oh man, like I'm actually kind of angry. Like maybe it might be a surprise to you because I don't really maybe get angry, or maybe I don't express it, or maybe you've never seen me angry. But like while I was there, I realized, man, like I get triggered. I get triggered like easily, because
like what makes you mad?
Stupid people.
Stupid, ignorant people.
Incompetence.
Incompetence?
This is incompetent people or stupid people. These are the things that just really piss me off.
Why does that make you mad?
Because it seems to me to be so obvious, and how could somebody behave in this way that I perceive as like being so foolish?
Yeah.
And it's one thing if it's just affecting you. It's like, okay, you're just whatever, it just affects you. But it's like, oh, now you're doing something for me, or I'm expecting you to do something. Now you're affecting me. Now it's like your foolishness is affecting me. And so like, for example, I worked on the Sadhguru app. So we have an application on the App Store.
Yeah.
It's I think it's kind of a big deal.
And so that, by the way, that's what you were doing while you were working
This
there.
was my seva.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so once I got orientation, they put me on IT, and to my surprise, I got put on the Sadhguru app, which I was like, what better project could I... This is our application. This is like our main thing that we have on... Everybody has in their
What were
pocket.
the other options?
We have lots of different IT projects.
Really?
I won't go into it, but maybe, I don't know how many people we have in IT, maybe 50 full-timers.
Okay.
So we have lots of different projects.
Now, is this what you did full-time? Like 40 hours? How many hours did you work on this app?
After our schedule was 11 to 5 and then 8 to 9.
11 to 5 and then 8 to 9.
7 hours. daily, give or take,
It's 5 days a week,
every day.
7 days a week.
Every day. There's no breaks. There's no weekend. I had no idea what day it was.
Was that tiring working on this thing every day?
No, because it was so much fun. Like I really, I like programming.
Yeah, I know. It's good.
So and
That's good.
to be able to work on this, to me it was an honor. Honestly, just like wow, I get to work on the app. Like that's super cool. We have something like 70,000 unique visitors a day. There's a lot of people using it.
So the app is on my. I can download it.
Yeah, you can download the app.
What's it called?
Sedgrew.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
what kind of contributions did you do to this app?
We so the way that the application was written before, it was written in without getting too in the weeds, it's like a native code. So like if I want to build an application for iOS, there's a special programming language, there's a special way to program. If I want to write an application for Android, there's a different programming language and a different way to program.
Right.
Now there's other technologies that have come about in recent years to address this problem of just you want to write it once and deploy everywhere.
Yeah.
So what we did was we migrated a lot of this code into this new system so we can just write it once and just it'll run on both systems. So that way we're consolidating our code into just this one code base, this
Yeah.
one project. So that way adding features in the future will be a lot easier and maintaining will be a lot easier. Everything just the whole project will be a lot easier to manage and to develop. And that's one aspect of what I did. The other aspect is visually we're going through like a redesign for the application. So, and we're adding some new features too. So there's a few sections in the app. Specifically, what I worked on towards the end was the wisdom section of the app. So there's like a tab at the bottom of the app. You can click on wisdom, and it's like all Sedgrew's content. So all articles, audio clips, videos, everything is there, and it's all like categorized. And now it's like they're doing this new thing called collections and app topics. And so I built a lot of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really cool project. So back to what I was saying about like getting angry and stuff. So
yeah.
sometimes I would be working on some of my teammates. Maybe they don't think it's as important, or they're just lazy, or they just don't want to. Whatever. I would get
Probably lazy.
Man, I would get so pissed. Some people just want to talk and talk all day. Again, okay, you want to talk, you don't want to take this seriously. That's okay. That's your choice. But now you're talking to me all day. Now you're just distracting me. Like, man, I'm trying to work here. I'm trying to do. Like, I actually want this to get done, because we're the ones doing this. There's nobody. Like, we're the people that have been tasked with this thing. The whole world. Yeah, everybody that follows Sedgrew is going to be using this app. Like, it's important that we do this, and we do this right. And we do it on time.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of people at Isha. Every kind of person is there. So yeah, some people are just lazy. They don't want to work. They have their own obstacles in their lives. Within themselves, they have their own struggles. As I have my own struggles, they're different.
Good. I'm glad you understand that.
But yeah, still, I still get pissed.
So
but at least I'm aware of it
How
now.
did you deal with this individual?
Man, like, I mean, usually if I get angry, I just kind of hold it and I just try to like ignore it. But like when I was in India, man, I don't know what it was, if it was the heat or what. But I would start getting like visibly pissed. Like a few times I said some things or whatever, and maybe sometimes I would regret it. It's like, oh man, I was too harsh, or I was like not in the best mood. But like at some point, you just have to make it clear, like, hey man, like, I want to do this. Like, I don't know. You just have to manage the situation. Like, as we were saying earlier, we're trying to move from a state of compulsive reaction into a state of conscious action.
Yeah.
Me getting angry doesn't solve anything, and it doesn't make me feel good. So what's the point? Eventually, you just come to the point. It's like there's no point in getting angry,
Right.
and you just realize that on a deep level. So you just don't get angry. That's all.
But
you just you kind of treat them like little kids in certain ways. Like, you're just, just trying to be a little compassionate.
Right. And that's
like, okay, like gently tell them what's going on.
Right. And is that how you handled it?
In an ideal circumstance, yeah, that's how I would handle it. But maybe not always.
So the instant you yelled at this guy,
there was one guy I yelled at. I yelled at him. We were on a call. We were working with some contractors too that were in other parts of India, and man, this guy was like. So it was just frustrating me to no end, and I started yelling at him on the phone.
God, Carlos.
Yeah, he's really.
So.
And the other thing that made me mad. Okay.
Wait, why did you yell at this guy?
He was just like, I'm trying to remember what this specific.
You don't even remember. That's the funny thing.
I don't even remember it really, but basically he was just being stupid. Like he was just going about things in a way. He was just not a good teammate.
So what did you say to him?
I was I was just raising my voice. I was just like I just raised my voice and I was just asking him like, man, is this really what you're expecting to happen from this? Like, it was just a stupid situation.
Is this really what you're expecting? Or you're like, imagine you sitting there
Yeah,
with the
I was
voice.
getting angry. And so
It's so terrible.
this was like one common. I mean, this is daily, right? You have to come into work, and so you have to, over time. Okay, things got better. But this other circumstance, this other situation that I would find myself in that would like also trigger me was so in India they don't make lines.
What?
They don't make lines.
They
to
don't
get
believe in lines?
They don't like if you're waiting to get food, like you don't like say there's somebody at register. Okay. People don't just like, okay, Dylan came first, he's first, and then I'll stand behind him. I'll make a line. I'm second because I got here second. So when Dylan's
Right.
when Dylan's
It's a great
done,
system, isn't it?
it's a good, fantastic system. When Dylan's done, I'll go because I got here first. And as a society, we have this collective agreement. This is how civil society functions, right?
Yeah.
You get here first, you get attended to first.
Yes.
In the ashram, it's a little bit better because we're all, again, it's an international community and we have certain expectations of each other. We hold each other to a higher standard because we're in the ashram. We're all here for the same reason, to become more conscious, become better people.
Right.
But then on certain days, we open the ashram to outside people. Okay, outside people are less deep into Isha stuff, right? They're just regular people.
Yeah.
So they have their own culture, whatever. So like, I mean, eventually I got used to it, but like at first it was like, man, like I was getting so pissed. Like, man, I got here first. Why do you think you can just order? So the way we would order food, there's like this other place we can go to eat. So you can order food. They give you a ticket. You give the ticket to the guy, right? And he sees the ticket. He knows what to make. So, right, I get my ticket first. I will give my ticket to the person first. Sometimes he's busy, so there's a bunch of us here waiting with our tickets to give to the guy.
Yeah.
So so now it's like this cluster of people just trying to give their tickets to the guy as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Like, man, just like wait. Like I got here. Like once I give my ticket, like why does it have to be such a stressful thing? Like stuff like that, man. It really pissed me off.
That is crazy. I never even thought about like lines like that, how efficient they are,
It's such-
why we need them.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's such a like a basic thing. Like, because if you don't have a line, I mean, you're just resorting to just like whoever can push their way to the front. It's
Yeah,
kind of it
exactly.
gets savage real quick without a line.
Oh, right. Because people push and strong people
Yeah,
push
it's like
people
okay,
over.
well, I think I should go before you because I got here first. So now what? I have to push you out of the way.
Yeah.
I guess
Because you can't just stand there and let everyone walk in front of you.
because people will just
Right.
they're accustomed to this. They know that if they don't get their ticket in, right away, that they're gonna have to wait. They're gonna be an idiot, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna be the idiot that has to wait. So yeah,
Dang.
eventually I realized, okay, this is how it works. And on Mahashivatri, by the time Mahashivatri came and we're open to all these outsiders, I was just doing the same thing. Like, okay, like I came here first. Like I don't even wait for them to stop talking. Just like I tell them this is what I want. And I just try to give them my money. Like here's the money for the thing I want. Just try to ignore everybody else and
That's awful.
whatever.
That would make me mad too. And I don't even know how you could like not get angry at that system. Like,
It's
it'd
really
be so
crazy, man.
frustrating.
It's really crazy.
Um,
That was the one bit of culture shock that I can say I've experienced. Everything else I can say I pretty much experienced it in Tennessee. Culture's pretty much the same. So
Okay,
I didn't really
okay.
feel. I never feel like I really got culture shock,
okay.
except at that one aspect
Yeah.
of just lines.
So going back to like you're working on the app. Do you have like a director or Sadhguru like
We
come and
have-
check on you once a week and see like? how
So
you
it's kind of hierarchical.
were you like entry level or did you get like promoted at all?
And so it's not really like that because we're all volunteers.
Yeah, I know,
It-
but
it-
someone's got to
it
lead.
becomes. It actually works out pretty well. It turns into a sort of meritocracy. Like whoever deserves to be up there, whoever is most capable, they're going to be the ones in charge.
Yeah.
So it actually works out really well. If you're incompetent, you're lazy, you don't really want to work, you're not going to be. I mean, you're just okay. You're just kind of there.
Right.
They're not going to kick you out. You're just kind of there.
So,
So the way it works is Sadhguru's at the top. Obviously, he's Sadhguru. It's his foundation. He's the yogi. Like he's
he
the head
started it all.
honcho.
Yeah.
He's the head honcho.
right.
So underneath him are basically like the swamis and the mas, the brahmacharis.
Yeah.
So each one of them, they get appointed to some sort of department. So we have some over like 90 departments. So, there will be a ma or some brahmacharis that are deeply involved just in that one department
Right.
to make sure that basically the whole thing about the foundation is we're trying to execute on Sadhguru's vision. right? So Sadhguru has some plan, some sort of vision.
Right.
We're just trying to execute that. We're just trying to facilitate that.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do. So, and everybody's just expected to do their best. So yeah, brahmacharis are usually in charge of something, and then there's people that are full-time volunteers. There's some people that choose to be full-time volunteers. It's like, well, I'm just gonna quit my job. I'm gonna whatever. I'm just gonna be here at the ashram. I just want to be here, and it's by choice. You know, some people have this. Lots of conspiracy theories online. If you start reading about like Sadhguru and Isha,
Yeah.
as somebody that's been involved with them for some time and has stayed there for whatever for Sadhanapada 9 months, I know what it's like. It's everything. Everybody that's there is there by choice. Nobody made anybody do anything. If you're there, it's just because you made that decision for yourself.
Right.
So some people choose to be there full time. When they say full time, it's basically you're committing to be there at least like 2-3 years.
Oh, wow.
And you can go home and visit your family. They're not like so strict. You can't see your family. You can't talk to them. No, it's not like that. You can go home. You can come back. If you can work remotely, actually, like a lot of people from IT, they can actually be full-time volunteers and still live at home, as long as you're just committed to the project that you're working on, basically. And fundamentally, you're supposed to be committed to your own practices. That's the main thing. Is we want everybody to be committed to their own program, right? Your own internal program. That's the main thing. All this activity is kind of something that's happening also as part of your own growth, because it's supposed to be some sort of selfless activity, right? As I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's also to support the foundation in their activity.
Right. Of course.
So there's some full-time volunteers that are more dedicated, so they're given more responsibility. So, I have basically like a manager, and she's a full-time volunteer, and she's kind of like, she manages us.
So she's full time and works in IT. Obviously, she knows what she's doing.
She's more like a project manager. I think she used to be. She worked for Microsoft actually for some time.
Oh wow!
And so she manages us, and so we interface with her. We'll have meetings with her. I mean, she's part of our team. Like, we'll have team meetings all the time in IT and development. That's what we do every day. We have like a stand-up where we just say what we did yesterday, what we're doing today.
Nice.
But she'll have meetings with other people. It's the same thing. Like, hey, we work in a corporate world.
Right.
My manager's going to have meetings with their manager and people higher up. So it's like that.
So, okay, cool.
If we want to suggest something, let's say I have some idea for the app, I can bring it up to my manager and she's like, oh, that's a great idea.
That's great.
Let's together come up with something and let's pitch it to, the Swami that's in charge, whatever.
Interesting. Yeah, that seems like
so in that sense, because I was like super motivated and they saw that I had this ability to do this. I naturally just got. I don't want to say I was like a team leader or anything, but I felt like I really made a big impact while I was there, and I had like a lot of responsibility.
Okay, good.
Pretty much whatever I'm willing to take on, that's what they're willing to give me.
Right, and it sounded like you were there to work and focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the save was a big part of the program, and I had fun doing it. So I really didn't. And like, part of it is I want a better Sadhguru app. Right? I have to use this app also.
Yeah, so you're like, I'm gonna make it as best as I can.
Exactly.
And put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, it was really fun.
And I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna say about the app. But so what did you do after work?
So
what kind of
this is
for
our
entertainment?
Let me tell you
like
my
that?
schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we have actually the daily schedule we follow. So it starts off. You can wake up earlier if you want, but we should be waking up around 4:45. Wake up, and we wake up to music because there's so many of us. Like, it's just easier. It's like an alarm. They play like a certain music.
Oh, like Lady Gaga and stuff.
No, not like Lady Gaga. More like something more in the aesthetics of that kind of some more traditional type of music.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we'd wake up to that, get shower, and we start practices at 5:30 in the morning. So if you wanted to start earlier, it's up to you. Some people are crazy; they don't need that much sleep. They can wake up at 3:30 and just start if they want. There's people that do that. Me, I'm not like that yet, so I would wake up a little later.
That's good. Sleep's important.
You're supposed to wake up 5:30. We start Guru Puja. There's something called puja, which is like it's considered like a Hindu ritual, but Sadhguru has talked about puja in general, and he says, well, it's turned into a ritual, but there's a certain science behind it, and that's why we do it. So there's a certain kind of puja that we do called Guru Puja. So that's how we start today, is with Guru Puja. It's basically it's a type of ritual, but it's like an offering to the Guru. Basically, it's there's a whole. You should just listen to Sadhguru talk about. I can't really talk about this very well.
Okay, all right.
But that's how we start. It's like a 10-minute. It's like a chant. That's all it is. It's like almost like a song. It's actually a really pleasant way to start the day.
Okay, how long is that?
Sorry.
How long is that?
It's like less than 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So,
So one guy will lead. There's one guy doing the actual offerings and doing the puja, and then everybody else is just we're chanting when it's our time to chant, and yeah, there's a whole way to do this. So it's like less than 10 minutes, and then after that, we start practices. So in Sadhanapada, they have a kind of structured way. Oh, we do this practice together, and then after that, you can do whatever. But in general, after Guru Puja, you can just do whatever practices you want. So we have certain practices that have been taught to us, like Surya Kriya, Yogasanas, Shaktichana Kriya, Shunya, Shambhavi. These are like our main practices.
Okay.
Yes, I won't go into that.
Okay.
So we have anyway. So basically, that's where our day starts. Wake up at 4:45, practices. Then you do practice, like shower, get ready for the day, practices. Then you might have some time for chores if you want to clean your clothes, whatever. We have to clean our clothes by hand. There's so many of us, so we get like a bucket. It's by hand. We're washing clothes. So if you want to clean your clothes,
that's good. That's the best way to do it, probably.
If you have time today, you can do whatever you want until basically brunch. So brunch first batch is at 10. Second batch is at 10:45. So let's say I would eat first batch at 10 o'clock. And your schedule will be different depending on your seva. If you're farming, you're going to be working 11 to 5. If you're working in the kitchen, if you're cutting vegetables, you might have to come, at 9 because you have to cut vegetables for depending on your seva, it depends on your schedule. But let's say for my schedule is like a more typical schedule. You're working like an office kind of setting. I would go to brunch 10 to 10. Let's say I would finish 25 minutes. So 10:25, I'd be out, and I would just go straight to seva because I want to be there anyways. I want to go sit down and get on my computer. You can do really whatever you want until 11.
Yeah.
There's not really anybody checking on you. Our manager, she works remote, so nobody's really keeping an eye on you. You're kind of just expected to, because the program's there for you to benefit. You're not supposed to be. If you're just cheating on the schedule, you're just cheating yourself out of the program. There's really no point to just.
Right, and it's supposed to be selfless.
Yeah, you're just supposed to do the program. Like, the schedule's for you. It's not like somebody made you come to this program. You chose to came here. You applied,
Yeah.
This is what the schedule that they gave you. You're just supposed to do it. What time is it, by the way?
3:16.
Oh, perfect. Plenty of time.
So you got time.
So, yeah. Then I would start my seva, 11. 11 to 5, so I'd be programming all day. And we'd be chit-chatting my team. It's just like an office, it's
it's
the same office environment.
You work, you chat, you work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once 5 comes, you're supposed to be you start your evening practices. So if there's something you didn't finish in the morning, you can do in the evening. If you want to do something extra, if you do whatever practices you want to do, you can do them at 5.
You guys get in a group to do these practices? Or there's like rooms
in the morning,
areas?
So in the morning, we have a big hall. Specifically, there's a new building that they built just for the Sadhanapada program. So that actually didn't get completed until halfway through the program. There were some delays because of COVID. And so we had to do some shifting, and we were living in another area for a while. But yeah, the way it worked was, so we would, in the basement of our dorm, we'd have a big hall, and we'd all do our practices there. So we would do one practice together, basically the asanas, the hatha yoga, and then after that, you're free to do whatever. So it's a mixture of like group and by yourself. I prefer to just do my own the practices that I want. I really didn't like the structured aspect of the Sadhanapada program.
Interesting.
But yeah, in the evening, it's still free for all. You don't even have to do practices if you don't want. But again, it's for you. You're supposed to be doing it because that's why you came. So yeah, you just do your own practices, whatever you want at 5. And then dinner time, 7. And finish eating in a half hour or so. Then I come back to seva.
Yeah,
And,
work for an hour.
Work or just even hang out if you don't really feel like working.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like
that 8 to 9 block is like, it's so short. How much work can I really do?
I actually like that as a fact that you could just kind of hang out and like maybe finish up some things, but then also just kind of chill, talk to your coworkers, and then just like an hour. You know what I mean? I feel like that's good for team camaraderie and stuff. Even though you get too close to these people and they don't stop talking, Oh
yeah, man.
I used to work in an office and it was awful. I hated it. I was like you. I just wanted to work. I'm like, I'm here to work. I don't want to talk to these people. Sometimes I would, but most of the time it's like just want to.
Exactly. Like I do like to talk. I just don't want to talk all the time, always.
I mean, I'm surprised that this guy.
We're talking a lot right now. I'm having a great time.
We're here to talk.
We're here to talk.
Right after this, we're gonna work a bunch. So, no, I'm just kidding. So.
But yeah,
and
so
then
that's
at
how
night,
the schedule,
though,
8 to 9 block, and then after.
So after 9, where do you guys go to the nightclub?
Ideally, you would. No.
They have a nightclub there?
No nightclub, unfortunately.
A hookah bar?
Hookah bar.
So what? Yeah, do they have like entertainment areas though?
No. No entertainment areas.
What the heck? No ping pong?
There's no ping pong. Sometimes actually we played soccer a few times. I mean, like,
Oh, that's awesome.
if you want to organize some people, you can just go out and play.
Yeah.
Actually, as a IT department, we would have weekly, like, we go outdoors. So originally we started off going to the farm, like going spend some time and, like, working outdoors with our hands and stuff. But I guess some people complain about getting too tired. I was like, this is like an hour of farm work. This is nothing.
They eat too much.
Yeah, some people just like whatever.
get
We ended up
tired.
moving to playing more sports and playing more games. So once a week we would do that. A couple of times we played frisbee. It was a lot of fun. So we played ultimate. Played soccer once, and like we played on like with not a good ball. It's like almost like a basketball we played with,
Oh.
and it was like on this concrete. We played on this helipad. And oh, by the way, I did not wear shoes for like 7 months.
Oh, how are your feet?
They got so strong.
Really?
They were so strong, yeah. So imagine I'm barefoot all day, every day. Like most people, sometimes people wear flip flops or sandals if they want to, but for me,
I
it's
like
like, what's the
sandals.
point?
They're cool.
Yeah, for me, it was just like, what's the point? I just walk barefoot. I'm getting stronger, and my feet weren't rough.
They get callous? I was going to ask that.
They just got a little thicker, but like they were smooth. They weren't like
Yeah.
rough.
You moisturize them?
Some coconut oil, yeah, that's all you need. Coconut oil at the end
Yeah.
of the day,
Yeah.
you're good. You're solid.
That's good.
So yeah, we played soccer on that day, but we played on this like helipad. It was like really, really rough concrete, and like my foot started peeling off. A few people got injured, and that was the only time we
Jesus.
played soccer.
A few people got injured.
But yeah, like nobody's gonna stop you from playing games. I guess they used to have games as a daily part of the schedule, because even Saguru says he says it's really important to enjoy your physicality.
Oh, for sure.
You have a body, like you should use it for everything it can be used for. Like you should have fun, you enjoy your body.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, sometimes we play games, but yeah, don't really need that much entertainment. I mean, you're pretty focused throughout the day. In the
Yeah, it
morning, you're
sounds
doing
like it. You're
practices,
pretty
and then
busy.
you're eating, and then during the daytime, I mean, because I'm in an office, I mean, there's plenty of time to just do whatever you want on the internet.
Yeah, but that's kind of boring. What did you do on the internet? Look up,
I don't know,
like,
YouTube
Russia,
and-
Ukrainian.
Yeah,
war?
sometimes catch up on news or just like watch stuff on YouTube and yeah, like so ideally you would go to bed at 9:30 if you want to get like a full night's rest, but sometimes people would just stay up later. You can watch movies on your phone. I mean, nobody's gonna stop you from doing any of these things. It's just up to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have one of my friends. Yeah, there's a phase he went through where he would just like watch a movie like every single night.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fine. It was like, man, are you really getting enough sleep? Waking up every day
I
at
mean,
4:45.
I only sleep 5 to 7 hours mostly.
That's really good.
There's a lot of nights. I mean, I prefer. I get 6 hours of sleep, and you think it's like 1 to 7. No, 1 to 8. I don't know. I'm not bad with math, but you get the idea. 6 hours isn't that long when you think about it. If it's straight, but usually I wake up in the middle of the night. Have some
If
sleep
you don't wake
issues.
up tired, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but yeah, like this guy, maybe he just doesn't, watch the movie, gets his sleep. I think it's nice.
Yeah.
But how much do you sleep?
I like 8 hours minimum.
Minimum?
Okay, towards the end.
That's good.
Towards the end of the program, I started like getting really lazy, and I just wouldn't wake up. I would just wake up when I felt like it, and I would just do my practices a little later. It's not ideal, but it's like, I don't know, being in the ashram that long, it's just when you get there at first, it's like a new thing to do. It's like you're really excited to do all these things.
Right. You got to.
Over time, it's like, man, it's like it's not that I was very grateful to be there and I enjoyed my time being there, but I really just wanted to go home. Just not because like, again, it's an amazing space.
Yeah.
It's actually really beautiful. Probably the most beautiful place I've like stayed.
Wow.
It's just like, I didn't want these rules anymore. Like I just wanted to wake up when I wanted to wake up.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be in the dorm anymore. That was a big thing. It's like, man, I have to sleep in the dorm with all these guys, and like they're not quiet when they're supposed to be quiet during quiet time. It's like,
Oh, no wonder. I didn't think.
irritating.
I was gonna think because I imagine you're sleeping in a small room by yourself.
so it was like a room, like let's say, like this, like that wall to my arms. Actually, a little bit bigger. If you go further this way, it's like a big square.
Okay.
There's actually like 4 bunk beds,
4 bunk beds,
like,
so
L-shaped,
eight
so, like,
dudes.
L's in the corner, 8 dudes
Okay.
in a room. But at the top of the room, there's a grate. At the top of the wall, there's a grate, so you can peek into the room next to you, and you can
Yeah.
hear everything. So everything's open. There's no air conditioning or heating in this place, in the ashram at all. It's a southern India climate. You don't really need it, but also it's just better to be in tune with how the air is outside.
So you get plenty of fresh air inside there too, then, or is it pretty
It depends
enclosed?
on where. I
'Cause
mean,
if it's
you
enclosed,
don't
it's
really
kinda
get
gross.
it gets super hot in there.
Ugh. I can't sleep when I'm hot.
Man, when I would get there at the end of the day and I just lay on my bed, I feel like I was like like on a frying pan. I was so hot.
Oh my
I would,
god!
I would have to take a shower at the end of the day because I was be like so heated.
Wow. What is the climate there? It has to be hot.
See, this is another thing about just my specific thing. So I realize I have this heat problem.
You do?
Yeah, like I get, and this goes into the anger, and this goes into the whole other topic of Ayurveda. So I don't want to go too into the weeds with that, but like, yeah, I would get super hot. But if it wasn't even really that hot, so they have a monsoon climate. So basically, there's one period of the year where they get lots of rain, and the rest of it is just dry. There's no rain. So
Weird.
when I got there in June,
Okay.
it was like, man, like it was raining like so strongly, and the wind was blowing like so strongly. It was like really strong storm. It was like, man, like this is crazy. And yeah, that's the monsoon. That's the monsoon season. So it's like that for I don't know, a few months.
Wow.
It rains a lot. Like some days it'll be clear, but it's like, yeah, it could just rain at any time.
And
It could rain a lot.
And what's the temperature there? They use Celsius?
They use Celsius, yeah. So they have like a winter. They have 1 month that gets like cold.
Oh, we have like
they
5.
they call it winter, but cold is like 60 degrees.
Oh, get out of here! Really?
Yeah,
That's nice. That's like
it
beautiful.
was nice, man. Yeah,
It's like, ooh, I can wear a jacket and it's chill.
maybe a little bit colder in the nighttime, maybe.
Yeah.
But even during the days, though, it would be like high 70s, low 80s.
For the cold.
This is the
month?
winter month, yeah.
So what about the hottest?
I don't think I experienced the hottest months. I
Really?
think it's in like May when it gets like
Oh,
it's
good.
really hot. But when I got there in June, I mean, there were some days where it was like, yeah, it's hot. It's hot if you're exposed to the sun. If you're out farming, you should be wearing a hat. That's one thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, you'd be sweating a lot. But it wasn't like really hot and like much hotter than it would get here. I think it was not that maybe low 90s at the
Mhm.
hottest. I really thought it was a pleasant climate. It was a really nice climate. It's luxury, but these guys, I don't know. This would irritate me too. It's just another thing that irritates me. Like, man, these guys, the same friend that watches movies and talks to me all day.
Oh, he's the
Yeah,
same.
that's the
This
same
is
guy.
all the same guy.
And this, what I'm about to tell you, is also the same guy. He would just complain a lot at like how cold it is. It's like, man, it's 60 degrees.
Oh wow. That's wild. You tell
like
him like, hey man, I come
Like
from...
you've never experienced cold. Like what? It's like
You don't know what
it's like bragging about being rich. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like, oh man, like can you believe my maid didn't come in today?
Is this guy rich? Do you think?
No, it's just like you're complaining about 60 degrees being cold. You know,
I know,
You're,
I know.
You have this luxury, and you
Yeah,
don't even
right.
realize what it's like to be. Actually
He's
cold.
just privileged, or like he's ignorant. I guess
He
you
just
could say.
doesn't. Yeah, he's never experienced anything colder than that.
Yeah,
He's
man.
like, man, it's so cold. It's so cold. I'm like, dude, it's like I'm sweating right now.
I know. Gosh. Yeah, I mean, I
He's
actually.
a good guy. He's my friend. We spent a lot of time together, but yeah, just some funny things about him.
Are you not a fan of the cold? Like,
Don't like the cold. It's miserable, man.
I don't mind it. I'm getting
When
used to it. I'm
when
like, I like the. I want it to hurt.
When I
You know?
arrived from India and I felt the weather, like, you know, I got back in the States, it was like, man, it's like kind of brisk outside, but I really liked it. It was like maybe high 40s, maybe mid 40s. I don't know.
That's nice.
But it was like brisk, and I was like, you know, this is nice.
Yeah.
But now after being in this climate for a couple weeks, like a month, it's like, man, sometimes it's like, it's just, when it persists, that's when it's like, it's a
Yeah, it
drag.
does wear on you. I think a lot of the part is with the fact that our climate gets nice and then it goes cold. And it's nice and it's
Yeah,
cold. It's
it's
like
so
right
bad.
when you get used to sunny, it's like, oh, I'm going outside 60, 70, sunny. And then the next weekend it's snowing again. And you're like, it's too diverse.
That's like the worst part of it because you get tricked into like, okay, it's warm
Yeah.
now. And then it's like, oh, now it's freezing again.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And it just happens over and over until it's like actually summertime. And you really only get
It's too hot.
You really only get a few weeks of like true springtime or like true fall.
I know.
weather.
And it's like, because that's the best temperature,
Yeah.
best months.
And then it's just either really hot or really cold.
Yeah, like we're in March 26th, I think, or
Mhm.
something like that. But it snowed this morning, and it's
Yeah.
like,
It's snowing in the middle of the day.
when are we gonna get spring, man? When is it gonna come?
Yeah. Yeah. So the climate there was like it was super nice.
That's good though. That's good. At least you get to experience some decent weather sometimes.
Yeah. I like the
Um,
weather. But yeah, for some reason, yeah, I would just get really heated. Like the heat would just get to me, even though it's like not. I don't know what it was.
I think because there's no circulation in there, probably. And you got
No,
all these
not
people.
not just being in the room. I'm not talking
Oh,
about that.
really?
Just
Oh,
like
the whole time.
Even like I would finish my practices, I would eat, and like just during the day, I don't know, it would just heat up, and then I would get really hot within myself, like, and then like this heat also is triggering the anger too. I mean, those things are related
I think they are, yeah.
in the same way that like
It's a stressor.
well, I'll touch on Ayurveda. So like Ayurveda is something that I was also introduced to by Sadhguru. So Ayurveda is like it's a traditional, we call it like a traditional medical system, a traditional system of health. It literally it's a Sanskrit word, and it means it's like the science of aliveness. It's like it's the so Ayurveda is where so right now we have like our medical system is called like allopathy. That's our medical system of medicine, our understanding of medicine, allopathy.
Okay.
It's like what you think of as medicine.
Oh, okay.
But it's not that there's anything wrong with it, and it's actually super useful in certain instances, like
For sure.
infections or viruses or some acute condition you need immediate attention for, some sickness, or even if you break a bone, we know how to set it, whatever, certain surgeries. But there's not really any sort of cure for any sort of chronic things inside allopathy.
Right.
So you can't really take some pill and have it cure your anxiety. It's not going to cure your depression. It might alleviate some short-term things. It might work for some amount of period, but it's not really a solution because those medicines have side effects, and you're upsetting some bound where you might fix one thing, you might disturb something else in the system. So we don't. I bring this up to say like allopathy. We haven't. It's not like we haven't like figured out a answer for everything in our current system of medicine. Science has not figured out everything for us at this point in history. So there's this other thing called Ayurveda, which is like a historical, traditional system of medicine. Basically, the aim of Ayurveda is to produce and maintain health in the system. So like real balance. So like any sort of chronic ailments, this is what you're trying to address.
Okay.
Like if you have some chronic ailment, that means something is wrong in your system, and it's been wrong for some time, and now you're starting to see some sort of side effects or some effect of that imbalance. So it's like if you start reading about Ayurveda, it's interesting because in the way that in Western medicine you read about chemical interactions and drugs and interactions between whatever in chemical things that are happening in the body. In Ayurveda, because your health is a subjective thing. It's you're experiencing your system in a subjective way. You either you feel good, you feel pleasant, you feel whatever, angry, you feel fear. So all of these things, Ayurveda speaks on in these terms. Like when you're talking about diet, they're not talking about you need to get this much fat, you need to get this much sugar, this much fiber, whatever. It's like you have to have this much of this taste. There's a lot of importance on this taste and the effects that those tastes have on your system. And it's not just the taste. There's lots of other things, the way that there's the whole aspects of it, but it's more like subjective. Like if you experience, some people might have a proclivity towards anger. Some people might have a proclivity towards fear. And these are indicative of some sort of imbalance in your system. But the way that they go by addressing it is like through, the main thing is your food. So your food is like your main medicine.
Yeah.
But the way that they categorize the food is like, well, it's like your food, like some item might be rough, or it might be moist, it might be oily, it might be astringent, it might be heating, it might be cooling, it might be drying, it might be, etc. There's all these different qualities. So in Ayurveda, they talk about all these different qualities, and there's certain things that are linked to each other. So like for example, heat and heating is correlated to anger, and I mean you can see this in your day-to-day life, in your experience of life. If you start paying attention to certain things and how they influence you, you'll start to see some connection there. In my experience, I've learned about this maybe for a few years, and I've been looking at it, and I found a lot of it to be useful to me, but also just it makes sense. So like the fear in your emotion is linked to dryness in the system, and anxiety and stuff like that. So like a lot of these things, it's just a really interesting form of medicine, which I've been exploring for some time.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like a Western or our medicine or whatever you want to call it, because I feel like they mostly like just want to treat you for the symptoms and they don't really want to get
Exactly.
rid of the cause. They
Exactly.
can't really.
They don't ever treat the root. Where
Right.
the whole point of Ayurveda is that they want to treat the root.
Right.
You treat the root, then you actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
And in our system of medicine, they don't have that.
No.
It's not there yet.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
So I mean, I've tried a few things, and okay, I'll give this one example. It's kind of weird, but I'll share it.
Go ahead.
So there's this thing called a panchakarma. So panchakarma is like in Ayurveda, it's like you're supposed to do panchakarma once a season. So panchakarma is like these set of things you do, and it'll cleanse your system. So like change of the season, it's a good time to do it when the seasons change. Just as sort of like a refresh your
Right.
body, just rejuvenate. So there's certain steps of things that you do. So there's one doctor in Albuquerque. His name is Dr. Vasant Lad. He leads the Ayurvedic Institute, and it's a pretty big institute in North America. He's kind of like the face of Ayurveda in this country, at least. He's from India. He's from Pune. And I read his books, and he gives an example, a suggestion of what you could do, an easy panchakarma thing that you could do at home. So part of it involves ingesting oil in the morning, like ghee, just ghee by itself in the morning, and you do that for a few days, and you eat a certain way, and you're supposed to sweat for. It's a day by day routine. So like day 1 you do this, day 2, day 3, day 4, etc. And around day 5 or 6, I don't remember exactly when, but he says you should do this thing called basti. So basti is basically it's an enema.
Okay.
So basically you make this mixture and you pump it in your butt.
Okay. Is it bacteria related or?
So basically the one that he prescribes is like this. It's like a tea. You brew like a tea
Yeah.
and you mix it with sesame oil. So
Okay.
it's all warm. It's supposed to be body temperature because you're putting it inside of you. And you put it inside and you hold it for like, let's say 45 minutes, let's say.
Okay.
And then afterwards you have a bowel movement. So your body will just like absorb a lot of this oil and this mixture
Yeah.
directly into your colon.
Right.
Because apparently like a huge amount of disease is caused just by not having a clean colon.
Yeah. Oh
Your
yeah.
clean colon is very, very important to your health.
Yeah, it is.
So after you go through these 4 or 5 days of whatever, then basti at the end is like the main like thing to rejuvenate your system because you're skipping. It's not if you drank it, it would happen a certain way. But here you're putting it directly into the colon.
Right.
It's going to absorb a different way.
Yeah.
So, but just to share my experience, is like a few years ago when I first got interested in Ayurveda, I did this panchakarma, and I don't remember if it was the first time that I did it or the second time. But man, when I did the basti, it was like the only way I have to describe it is like my insides, like my gut area, it felt so happy.
Yeah.
Like it was like I was being tickled inside. It was such a pleasant feeling, man. It was like I was really, I don't know if I was like so dry or what, but it was like, wow, it was a big experience. So I've experimented
Wow.
with a lot of these things in Ayurveda, and I've seen benefits, and I see
Oh, for sure.
how a lot of these things, like I see some correlation between, like what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So
And-
yeah, that goes back to what I was saying. Like, yeah, I would get heated, and I don't know why, but like, yeah, definitely it triggered my anger.
Yeah. Interesting. You get heated. Did you
Mhm.
find like?
They have an Ayurvedic doctor there.
Okay.
They have like a rejuvenation center where they'll evaluate you and they take your pulse in a certain way. So just to briefly explain, Ayurveda is like their understanding of Ayurveda, like your human system, is like every human has some combination of 3 doshas. So a dosha is like I don't know really how to describe it, but it's a certain quality, and there's certain things that's associated with this dosha. So like the 3 doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So every human will have some ratio of those things, and depending
Okay.
on those things, that'll determine lots of things about you, like how big you are, how scrawny you are, how your tendency to gain weight or lose weight, how oily your skin, how dry you are, how your tendencies towards whatever. It's like it's everything.
Yeah.
It's literally everything. So for me, I have an imbalance in Vata and Pitta. So my Vata is high, my Pitta is high. So my Kapha is low. So in Ayurvedic understanding, because I have low Kapha, that's why I'm a skinny guy. Kapha
Interesting.
people tend to be, you can tell a Kapha person immediately. They always tend to be bigger,
Yeah.
and their skin is always very like plump and moist. If you look at their hair,
Yeah.
this is just the quality of Kapha. There's people like that.
Yeah.
Now that I've like seen Ayurveda for some time, I can kind of look at somebody and kind of tell like, oh, they seem to have like this kind of characteristic. You can kind of predict a lot about a person like that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I have this imbalance in like Pitta and Vata. So it's like Vata is responsible for like movement, and it has like so if your vata's
You're-
out of balance, you might have this tendencies towards anxiety or fear or being rushed. Your skin might
Yeah.
be dry. All these things. A lot of these things. When I started reading about Ayurveda, I was like, man, like this is like really describing, like it's reflective of my experience of what I've been going through.
Yeah. And they try to treat it.
People that have a lot of acne is high pitta,
Interesting.
stuff like that. Every condition you can think of, any sort of chronic condition,
Yeah.
you can look. Ayurveda has some description, some understanding of it, and they also have prescription. So
Okay.
they can prescribe you certain things, and you can take it over some period of time. So this kind of medicine is more like primarily your food. You
Food,
should
right.
change your diet a little bit, but also they have certain herbs that you could take daily, like as a supplement. So over a
Interesting.
certain amount of time, it'll clear up.
Wow. That's fascinating that they have different. I actually really like it, like I said, because I'm not a big fan of our medicine here. So I've been trying to fix my own diet, but I've never heard of anything like that. So that's super cool. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, I can share with you a couple books.
That'd be
Really
great.
simple, and it's actually super interesting to like just once you start
Yeah,
reading
I
it.
just like to learn things too.
Yeah, once you start reading it, I think you'll look at it and be like, well, that actually kind of describes my experience.
Yeah.
And you can just experiment with it. You can just see what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Can't hurt really. I've been trying to learn just all kinds of alternative medicine lately. So it's super cool. But what time? How long? What time do you have to go?
4:30 is when I should be heading out.
Okay. Well, let me. I want to ask you a little bit since you just got back recently. What are some of your plans for your future?
Ooh.
What do you got?
Plans. So one thing for me is I've wanted for some time to have property, land.
And you did own land.
And I did own land briefly. But at this point in my life, I was not super clear on my intentions.
It
was a good
land.
It was a great experience to go through and like get
cool.
this land, and I learned a lot. And I profited. I sold it.
Oh yeah.
And I made some profit. So okay, it worked out. But now I'm a little bit more clear in my intentions of what I want to do next. So, my main thing right now is to primarily the reason behind this is I want my own space. As much as I love my parents, I just like need a space that's my own.
I know what you
You know
mean.
what I mean? Because like we were saying earlier, like you live with your parents are in your business. And it's not just that. It's like I'm kind of particular in the way I want my space to be arranged, and I have a certain sense of aesthetics that doesn't totally jive with my parents' sense of aesthetics. So it's like, man, like I have a good job, I make good money, like I can just go do it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. So my plan is, I don't know if I told you this actually, but next weekend I'm actually leaving.
Yeah.
For Florida.
Florida. You
going
didn't tell
to
me
Florida.
that. I thought you were going. I don't know where you said, but okay, Florida.
Yeah, I'm going to Florida.
Is that you had a friend there, right? Or is that
No.
something else? Okay. What are you going there for?
I'm booking an Airbnb, a tiny house in this place north of Orlando. So I'll be looking for, and then I'll have an Airbnb for 2 months, and in that time I'm planning on pulling the trigger. I want to buy a piece of land in Florida, because I think just there's something that just appeals to me about Florida. It's like the climate and like the moisture in the air. There's just something about it that feels right. And I actually went last year I think it was like last year. Yeah, I might have a cousin that lives there. He's an older cousin. He's like maybe in his 60s or 70s. I think he's actually my mom's cousin. But when I was there, yeah, I had that feeling like, man, this is just feels like the right place. So I just want to go down there and check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, my intention is I just want to have my own piece of land, and I want land specifically. I don't want to get like a house. One thing is houses are crazy expensive. Like
They are crazy expensive.
and yeah, they're so expensive. They're just too expensive. And also, I don't even want a house. Like I don't really see. It's not how I want to live. I don't want to live in like a big box. I don't think it's the right way for humans to live. I think it's a bit silly. Like, I really think that I want to be living in a way that's more closer to like a camping sort of way of life. Like
Yeah.
I want to live like I'm camping all the time. So my what I want to do is I want to have essentially like my own private campground, right? It's like a campsite for myself in a way. So I want to buy this land, and I want to get an RV and just like, or a camper, and just like live like that, because why not?
Yeah. I think that you've wanted this for a while. I feel
Yeah.
like.
It just there's something about like living, and being in India, being outside pretty much all day, walking around barefoot, it just feels right.
I love it. I
Being
think
inside,
it's
it's
great.
like when you're inside, you're separated from the air, like the outside air. It's like you manufactured your own reality. You know what I mean? Being inside.
You made a difference. I don't know, an area for yourself that's
Yeah,
separate from the
you're
whole world.
separate from the world.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's the best way. And that's not that I don't like houses. I mean, if somebody gave me a house, I'd take it. No, but it's like I just don't think it's the best way to live.
So you would live essentially on this piece of land.
Yeah.
Would you you'd work in your RV? You'd be a
Yeah.
you get your job back. Did you get your
Yeah,
job
I
back?
have same job. When I left, they said, "Oh, you're welcome to come back
Okay.
when you come back."
Okay.
So I did that.
Excellent.
I interviewed. I had to like re-interview again because they kind of did some restructuring.
They have to do that.
Not re-interviewing, but it's just like getting reacquainted because like there was a merger and like lots of
Okay.
restructuring happened.
That's standard for
Yeah.
records and
So
stuff. But yeah,
same job.
That's great. So you're gonna work in the RV? Do we have internet
Yeah.
and stuff there?
Yeah. So Starlink is a thing now.
Oh yeah.
But also Verizon, they have like unlimited data plans. But also, if I can get regular internet hookup, I can do that too.
Okay.
That's one
awesome.
thing when I buy
Wow.
land. It's like I want to make sure it has electricity. That's a big one. For water,
you need
city
that.
water's fine. It's preferable, but you can always dig a well in Florida. There's water everywhere.
Yeah, I guess. get a filter
And
system or
internet,
something.
yeah. Ideally, again, you would have it like cables running, but I
Yeah.
could do Starlink or
Starlink. Yeah, Starlink. would be
Whatever.
Great.
yeah.
And how close is the? I mean, you don't have a spot picked out for land, do you?
No. I've been looking at properties online for some
Okay.
time, so I just need to. I just felt like I'm getting this Airbnb because I want to go down there and see for myself the different spots and just explore, see what I think jives best with me.
Yeah, I think it's great. And you can always. The great thing about buying land there too, it's like, it's not that big of a commitment, or maybe it is,
Mhm.
but it's not as big as like buying a house.
Yeah, if you buy a house, you have to think about it has to be in a condition like somebody's going to be able to. You have to be able to sell it. Like if you build some abomination, let's say,
Yeah.
nobody's going to want to buy it. You're stuck with it. With land, it's like it's just land. It's always if somebody can build on it in the future.
Yeah.
I don't really intend to. Maybe I'll build something in the future. I don't know, but right now I just want to keep costs low because I
Yeah.
don't want to be in debt.
And you can always move to another. If you don't want to live in Florida anymore, too, you can always in
Yeah.
a couple of years say like, you know what, I want to live in this climate. And go
Exactly.
somewhere
I
else.
would just pack up and just go sell the land
Yeah, that's
or
great.
keep the land. It's always there as an investment. Also, I don't even have to
Well,
sell.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Just keep it.
It's like a better alternative than it's a real thing, right? You're putting your money in a real asset, land,
yeah. Well,
versus like
well, you buy a house, you buy land too, though, right? You buy
yeah,
land,
yeah, that's
so
always there, but you
smaller.
you can't sell them separately, right? You have to sell the house with the land,
That's a good point. Yeah.
right? If somebody just wants the land that your house is on, well, they have to pay for the house,
Right.
and if they want to knock it down, they have to pay for It's a lot of costs when you start building.
Do you have to take care of the land, like upkeep it?
depends. It depends what kind of land it is. If it's like a forested thing, I could just clear out a part of it, keep the rest of it wild,
Okay.
and just maintain just the part that I want. It's up to me.
That's so cool. That seems interesting. But Florida's so far.
Yeah, it is far, but it's
Alright.
just a flight away.
Yeah, when you think of it like
flights.
that,
Yeah, domestic
everything's.
flights are.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, the flights from here to India, man, it was so long.
How long is it? 18 hours?
I don't remember. I just remember it was like a direct from like when I left from Newark, and I flew to Mumbai directly, and it was COVID time, so there was like nobody on the plane when I left here.
Oh, that's kind of nice. And
Yeah,
flights
so
are probably
So I
cheaper
could lie down.
because nobody's
It
flying.
was nice. Yeah.
You could lie down. That's cool.
Yeah, I had the whole bench to myself.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, domestic flight is like nothing. It's like 2-hour flight, 3-hour flight. It's just like nothing.
Yeah, 3-4 hours to Florida.
It's so simple. You just literally just sit
It's
down.
not bad.
You don't even have to drive. Like you don't have to pay attention.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive. I don't want to like start driving from Indiana.
If you get an RV though, I mean, would you be driving anywhere?
Well, I plan on getting a camper, so I just
Just a car-
I just want
okay,
to
I
get
was
a camper
curious.
because the camper has everything built in for
Yeah,
me.
you just get a little house.
Has a shower. Yeah, exactly. It has a shower,
House.
toilet, stove,
Mhm.
and I can lay down. I can sleep inside of it.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want. It's just like a thing I can take with me if I need to. It's the cheapest type of house,
It's the
Yeah.
cheapest.
and I can
house.
move it.
Yeah, I know. I think it's great. Do you have? How about like your career? Are you just gonna plan on doing this for a while?
Career. I mean, it's for me. I don't really think in terms of like a career in the sense of like I'm trying to go anywhere with it. You know?
Right.
It's just like a job. It's just a job that it pays more. You know what I mean? Like, I think people have this, like when they think career, it's like you're thinking like long term. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
trying to climb up the ladder.
Yeah.
For me, it's literally I just think of it as a job. Like I could be a fry cook, I could be an engineer. It's the same thing. It's just this pays more than being a fry cook.
Well, I mean,
You know what I mean?
But it's also about what you want to do.
Right.
What do you enjoy doing?
Yeah.
Or is there anything that you
I'm
want to do?
I like being an engineer.
Yeah,
I like
so you're just planning
programming,
on doing
but I
that?
don't know if I want to do it forever.
Okay.
It pays well, and I got a raise now that I came back, and when I came back,
because the rates have gone up throughout the U.S. actually.
yeah, and well, actually, I had negotiated a certain number, and then when I came back and I went to the grocery store and saw the prices.
Yeah.
Then I went back and I'm like, hey guys, can you guys pay me like a little more?
Yeah, like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and then they agreed to it, so
Awesome,
I'm happy
man.
with that.
There you go.
And I only have to work 4 days a week. If I want to work 5, I can work 5. Otherwise, I'm only obligated for 4.
Oh, that's the dream, right?
It's so flexible. Yeah, I basically negotiated maximum flexibility. That's what I wanted.
Maximum flexibility. That's what people want
Yeah.
nowadays. That's why I don't
Yeah.
know, the world's changing, man. Everyone's working from home, being flexible.
Yeah, now I'm working on this new project. I'm working with people from the West Coast, people in New York,
Yeah,
all just remote.
Yeah,
And it's awesome.
it's great. It's a problem with the housing market because everyone's buying houses here. And it's like,
Houses
get
are
out of
just-
here.
It doesn't
dude.
make any sense
Get
to.
out of here. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know.
It's a weird way to live. I mean, if you think about it, like this house, for example, is so big and so nice. It's like a castle, man.
It's a castle.
Do we each really need a castle? You know what I mean?
No,
We don't.
that's why it's hard to find a house because like everyone wants to
Because
sell
there's
you a
only so
castle.
much land.
Well, yeah, it's limited.
Yeah, there's only so much space, and like we have to be a certain amount of distance away from the city, right? Most people have to commute to the city,
Yeah.
so because there is lots of land, really, if you look at it.
I mean, but a house is it's cool because look, I mean, I got my entertainment system here. I got a workout center over there. Where I work over there, a bathroom, storage, a bar area. Like this has got everything in it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And houses I think are cool like that. Like you can make them whatever you want. There's just space.
I agree, but imagine like how we were saying earlier, living with your extended family. Like imagine having this castle, and you can make it maybe a little bit bigger, and just have like a bigger. It just seems like there should be more people living here. That's all.
Your legs on the table. You're rocking
Oh,
the
okay,
table
sorry.
just
Yeah.
a little bit.
It just seems like there should be more people living in the castles that we build.
I mean, this castle in particular, there's only 3 people who live here.
This is a
but
big castle, yeah. For a few
it's good
people.
because my sister has a kid, and my brother has now 2 kids, and then he's
Yeah.
actually moving back here. I don't know if I didn't tell you that.
Oh no, you didn't tell me that.
And he might actually move in here
Oh,
for
wow.
like a month or 2, which is going to be crazy.
What
Because
happened to
him, his wife, 2 kids? He gets to work from home and he wants to move back to Indiana
Oh, okay.
because he wants to be closer to family, which is important to us.
Hmm.
You know,
It's also different for people with families. I understand if you have a wife and kids, like you're not just gonna live in a camper. You know what I mean?
well,
It makes sense.
right?
For me, it's like I'm still at a period in my life where I can do these things and I want to do them, so I'm just gonna do it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think if you want to do something, the best thing is to just do it,
Yeah.
especially if it's low risk, low cost.
Yeah. There's no risk.
You know,
It's land. Everybody's gonna want land.
and I think that's one of the best things about like even you just going to India. And I think in you in general, we can sum up like a lot of things. When you think of something, you just go and do it.
I just want to do it, man. It's the same thing when I have this. Maybe it's not a good thing, but it's like when I go shopping. If I just want something, I just buy it. I don't
Yeah.
like. But I end up like not even using half the stuff and returning half the stuff. Also,
Well, yeah, you do got to think and evaluate.
exactly.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
But it's like also when I buy something, it's like there's no risk. I can return this whenever I want.
I know. That's
So-
not a great way to think. I feel like, but that's a good point. It's a good point though. It's like
Yeah, I don't want
I think
to.
you shouldn't limit yourself though because you only have so much time in your life.
Exactly.
And so much enjoyment. You'll always have money. You'll probably die. I always think about this. You'll probably die with thousands and thousands of dollars in the bank. Most
Yeah.
likely, I'm just assuming that you never got to use. And there was a time where you didn't want to buy something at the store. It cost $20, because you're like, oh, this is a little pricey. $30 is a little bit over my price. I don't know, like if you ever think
Yeah.
about that, just buy what you want now because you may be dead in 10 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors to consider, like financial aspect and what you can do. But
As long as you're financially stable.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people don't have money, and I get that.
definitely, like the main thing is like you don't want to make a decision that's gonna affect you for the rest of your life, and like you don't want to screw yourself for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
If you get in a debt, like that's a big commitment. Like you have to be sure you're ready to make that commitment. If you get married, you have to be sure you
I know.
for that commitment. So for me right now, it's like I consider what I'm doing to be little to no risk. Like if I buy a piece of land, I can just sell it. Like I already did it once. You know what I mean?
You could do it again.
I could just sell it. I could buy it. I could hold it. Like there's nothing. I'm like I said, I'm not gonna build. I don't want to take out debt. So it's like really there's no downside.
No.
Just want to do the things I want to do. You know.
Right, and
There's
you will
nothing
never,
stopping
you'll never know if you want to or don't want to do it unless you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think, oh, would this be fun? Well, you won't know until you try it.
Yeah.
And
exactly. There's nothing stopping me. So why not? You know.
Yeah.
Just want to do it.
That's like I said. I feel like you've lived your whole life like that pretty much, or at least from recent years, I should say.
Yeah.
No, I think since college.
I think that's spot on. Yeah.
Right after high school, you're like, I'm free? You
I'm
mean I
free,
can go
man.
anywhere and do anything I want?
Yeah.
And you just did it. And I think a lot of us get in that mindset of just like, well, I've been here my whole life. I lived here. I grew up here. I'm just going to stay here because it's what I know.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people do
And
think like that.
They're afraid to move out or try risking things, you know, which is fine. Like I said, for me, I'm happy. I don't feel like I need to change anything, but it's like, would I be happier if I went somewhere else? But then you're chasing like how much happiness can you achieve? It's like, this is ridiculous. I'm happy. You're like, just relax. But I do always wonder. It's like, wouldn't it be fun to live in Texas for like a couple years? You know. And I think, and like you almost inspire me to do some things like that. It's like, well, he went to India for 9 months.
9 months, man. I can't believe it.
And he's
honestly.
back, and it felt like nothing even happened. I feel
I
like
feel like I didn't even like. It feels like a dream.
yeah, right. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So it's like, yeah, it makes me want to just change up a little bit. You know, you get too comfortable in the same rhythm. I would love to. I was a camp counselor for 7 weeks, and that was an amazing time of my life. You know, and I just think it's cool that you went to volunteer stuff. I wish there was more opportunities to do stuff like that.
The thing is, like when you get into a routine, and every day is like that, it's easy to lose a lot of time in the same routine. Like, years can go by and it doesn't really feel like anything really changed.
You're right.
They did anything.
Yeah.
So I think that's a real danger.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like imagine you doing something and 10 years, you're doing that for 10 years, and then in 10 years, like, oh man, I've been doing this for 10 years. It doesn't really feel like doesn't feel like that long.
No, I've been living here with my parents for 5 to 6 years, and it's like, I remember the day I moved back and started working on my job, and like it went by like nothing, man.
Man, I remember, I was just thinking about this before I came here. Like, I remember the day we were sitting in your backyard at your old house, by your pool, on the day of graduation or the day before or whenever it was. I just remember hanging out and be like, oh, we're just talking like, oh, it's high school's over, like we're going to college now.
Wow.
Like we said, like we've been friends for 18 years.
I know, right?
Like I can just remember like just sitting, like hanging out in the foyer at Grimmer. I think that's where we met. You were probably just hanging out with.
I remember in the band, marching band. Maybe in the foyer too. I don't remember that. But it's probably band, maybe jazz band.
I think the first time I saw you, first time I heard you talk and interact with you was in the foyer at Grimmer.
Really? I was going to ask you if you remember the first time we met.
Yeah, we used to hang out there. Like I think before school started or what? I don't remember. I think like we would just wait there before. I really don't know why we were there.
I was thinking like, was it traditional jazz band? We used to come in really early in the morning. Were you in there?
But I don't think that started until like 7th grade. Traditional jazz band.
Well, I think it was a very interesting conversation with you because I've been excited to see you and hear about your trip, and I feel like you've told me a lot about it. I don't know, maybe there's some stories you left out. You know, maybe we'll talk about it later. But yeah, it's really nice having a conversation with you. You're a fascinating individual, a really good friend of mine. Maybe one of my best friends, honestly, if I do say so myself. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, does your podcast have a name?
I'm just gonna call this one like the Carlos interview.
Oh, nice.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't really thought about it. Thank you so much for coming on, Carlos.
Thank you, Dylan. It's been a pleasure.
All right, guys, take care.